Welcome to Good Earners reviewing The Sopranos season 3, episode 2. All of our fans, for those that are new, welcome to Good Earners. For those that have been here, y'all know how we give it up. And here on Good Earners, we like to talk about family, finessing, finances, and feelings in the world of Tony Soprano, bringing you a new perspective, a fly perspective, and most importantly, a black perspective. We are the toughest podcast out of Essex County. This podcast has way too much moxie. And this podcast, just know we can sell it. Spike, Rich, what's going on with y'all? What we doing? What we doing? Say it.
You're flexing.
You're flexing.
Yeah.
Flexing.
Flex.
That's what we doing, man. So we are back, man. Again, another episode of Good Earners. Spike, what episode are we reviewing today, bro?
Today on Good Earners, we are season 3, episode 2. Please forgive the pronunciation. Proshai Livushka. I have no idea what that is.
I think it's Proshai Livushka.
Yeah, that's
Proshai.
the toast that's the toast that Lana gave.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
The Russian toast makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Goodbye, little Livia.
That's the name of the episode. In this episode, the trash wars continue, and they introduce us to Ralphie, who may be a key player and wants to be made. Meadow introduces Tony to a classmate that triggers a panic attack, and Tony and the family deal with a tragedy. This is episode 3. This is episode 2, season 3 of Good Earners. Proshai Livushka.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Spike, for that synopsis. And
Yes.
our first scene, it's a second firebomb in the sanitation war that's going on. We get, I believe, Christopher and Adriana. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong episode. But we get the second firebomb in the sanitation. We get this weird rewind that Tony passed out and he falls out in his kitchen. Then they do this whole rewind situation. We meet.
I'm dropping shit, my bad.
We meet a new character here, young Noah, and things really transpire really quickly here. Rich, what did you get from this? Because we getting right to it, bro. This is ridiculous right now.
All right, man. So obviously, just to start out, the firebomb, even though it was very brief, we said it in episode 1. We saw it on the front page when Tony got his paper to start the episode. This is going to be a theme throughout this season. Now we get a little bit more in depth, as we know, throughout the episode. To the point, it's if you're an outsider, if it's reached a point where you're blowing up trucks, then what the fuck is going on? I got to know a little bit more about this. But obviously, we had the Soprano household, and I love how they played around with this episode. And I think a lot of it has to do with the whole Livia aspect of it. We know Sopranos and the Public Enemy movie that they played throughout this episode was a reminder of that, kind of like this art is meant to show you a world, that we live in, not necessarily to glorify or give accolades to the bad guys. It's just the truth and the reality of everything. So the fact that they give us this real-time show all the time, Sopranos is one of the most realistic shows ever.
Mm-hmm.
We get some goofy stuff and some silly stuff that we normally don't see unless we have a dream sequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get a rewind portion where you don't get it. And this is important to remember. This was the only time Sopranos opened up the season with back-to-back episodes. So both of these first 2 episodes of this season had kind of like a cartoonish effect. We have the old school detective style in episode 1. And we have this like rewind. We have Big P in the mirror. A lot of stuff that you wouldn't normally see, like I said, unless it's a dream sequence. And this whole CGI thing with Livia, I think they played all of that into the whole message of, what's the meaning behind it, even when you get to the Robert Frost thing. So I looked at that episode as a whole. So when I look at the rewind section, it's interesting to see we haven't seen Tony with a panic attack in so long and what actually triggered that. And I don't want to just hog the moment. I want to have it back and forth. But the expression acting by James Gandolfini, and the back and forth, and just the look he gave Meadow, like, I know you ain't got this nigga in my crib barefoot, using my toilet, using my DVD player,
bro.
Like, better than that.
That wasn't no piss either. He had been in there for a minute, bro. He came out of there buckling his pants up. The smell was with him.
You feel me?
Hey.
You feel me? Your mom likes lavender, cracking little jokes and shit like you comfortable.
Man, my man been sitting there for a minute taking it in, boy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we see how immediately Tony's whole mood changes because he's excited. Our Public Enemies, this is a good one. You come home, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as Noah asks you a film buff, he looks at him like he crazy, like, nigga, not to you. You know what I mean? Because if and I really want to ask y'all this before we even get into the conversation of the scene. Here's the real question I always wanted to ask, and I need to get y'all opinion on it. How would this scene have gone if this was a nigga? If this was Spike Lee that walked in the crib versus Noah, because Noah is still on the safe side, and we see how mad he was. Noah's a safe character.
Yeah. What do you mean?
If it was a nigga coming in, I mean, I'm talking about a nigga that's coming in, opening the fridge. The gabagool, nigga. Where the gabagool? I'm talking about one of them.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so
how do you think Tony would have
bathroom rubbing his stomach?
Okay.
And shit,
so
like,
for those that are not black,
for
those that are not black listeners, that don't know what he means, nigga. He means those people that are black beyond measure, where y'all probably seen it, and probably the stereotypical belief that y'all believe in us, how we react. He's asking about what would have happened if Noah wasn't biracial. He was just all the way black. That just for those that don't understand what that means. Spike, what do you think?
It wouldn't have been that subtle if it had been like, it would have been like a real deal. Meadow would have had to come and like save him probably, because it would have built up.
Okay.
I don't really think Noah picked up what he was putting down until the very end.
Oh man,
you know what I'm saying? He let him get off with the Tarzan joke.
Oh man. Charcoal Brigade.
He was like asking him, Charcoal Brigade, Moulignon. Like he really
that's when he started
up on it. Yep. Right. So someone who was more aware of what Tony was doing, I feel like it would have escalated, because Tony wasn't backing down at all in the slightest, but Noah just didn't get it. That would have been entertaining to see. I thought one of my favorite sitcoms is All in the Family. I think that he definitely channeled his Archie Bunker, his George Jefferson, his Fred G. Sanford. This was one of those moments, in to what you were saying, Rich, and kind of dealing with the comedy. It's not funny as far as like the subject matter, but them acting through it was funny. It was a great job by James Gandolfini. The subtle little, like I said, did y'all star in Tarzan? Like all of that shit, keeping a straight face was hilarious. It was some of the best racism, most entertaining racism that you gonna see on TV. And again, I put him up there with the Fred G. Sanfords and the all the other guys who did this on TV as well, like in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah, this definitely. I know people don't even expect that from us, like knowing that he was racist to a black guy, but where we find it the entertainment value in it.
It's funny. Yeah,
it's funny.
It's funny.
I think that
it's the audacity. I always say even more so than the racism, it's the audacity that you're really saying.
It's the
like, you so racist that it's funny.
Right. That part. You're so racist.
Some white people really, or some racist people really understand, like you said, that it's so racist. You be like, man, I can't believe you just did that and said that. Like, bro, I gotta laugh.
But you know what I could live with? And most times we feel this way. I mean, I don't know how other ethnicities feel when they approach racism, but what I could live with was the racism was brought to the front. It wasn't no subtle. It wasn't hidden.
Yes.
And then it's like, at the end of the day, too, it's like, I'm not about to kill you over because I don't like black people. I don't like, you know what I mean?
I just don't want you dating.
I don't like you. Like, you're black and I don't want you dating my daughter, and they don't want my daughter dating their sons.
You dating my daughter, right?
Yeah, I don't
imagine you dating my daughter, my nigga.
Right, and so it's like I can appreciate the upfront, like, I don't like black people. It doesn't bother me, and it wasn't like he was like about to do some police brutality or some mob brutality on him because he's black. It's just, I don't like you. But I thought it was just. What'd you say?
He went through all the racial epithets right in his face.
Oh man, right to his face. That's why, like, you could appreciate in your face racist versus like somebody like, oh yeah, I my best friend is black. Like, we could appreciate, but like the fact that like Noah came out and this is like the black dude that like feels like he feels comfortable around white people. This is the black dude. He's very comfortable. Look at he's half white. So he comes out and he has the sandals. And he don't have sandals that black dudes wear. He got the hipster,
Birkenstocks.
The Birkenstocks 90s. Yeah. I feel I'm safe in any environment. I'm the non-threatening. My hair is curly. I'm the non-threatening black guy. Everybody should like me. I'm charming. He had that whole vibe. Because if this was another black dude that wasn't biracial coming in with Jordans on, like, it's just
why
totally.
I asked the question. at the beginning. That's what made me ask the question. This would have been completely different.
So you think about the mindset of Noah going through like the fact that like, bro, I told you I was half Jewish. And so I'm telling you I'm half Jewish and I'm half black. And then on top of that, like I'm not necessarily saying we're dating. We'll see where things go. But the fact that like Tony could not hold that in is hilarious. And Tony does business from time to time with black people, and we'll see a black character later in this episode. This was so funny, and Noah was like, man, he was so heated, bro. Like, and I just love the line that Tony says. It's like, now your little friend up there, she brought you over here. She wasn't doing you no favors, but we'll deal with that later. Like, you know what I'm saying? He said that's exactly what I'm talking. Like, bro, oh man, like. That was so hilarious, and Meadow kept that same energy. But I want to speak. Go ahead.
Do y'all think Meadow did that on purpose?
I had that written down, Spike. I had that written down.
That's what I did too. I said, why did she set this man up? She know good and dang on well.
Meadow know better, and that's the thing. Because I'm gonna say she did it on purpose in the sense of she wasn't shy about bringing him to the crib.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think her intention was to piss off Tony like that.
Yeah.
Even when he came down the steps, she was kind of on some like, we about to leave. And that look he gives her, she turned 6 years old all over again. Like she knew she fucked up. Like she knew she was told explicitly to stay out the cookie jar. And he comes around the corner and sees her in the cookie jar. He kind of gives that look. And she knows like, oh shit, like I know what's about to go on. So which is kind of confusing on why she carried it this way. She knew what was going to happen. You know what I mean? If Tony met him. So I don't know why she was so upset at Tony's behavior throughout the episode and throughout these first few episodes of the season. But I don't know, man. That's an odd one. I'm trying to figure that out.
And that's why go ahead, Spike. My bad.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that season 2, or it may have been season 1. I think season 2, but like I told you, like, the theme I believe in the show is like wanting something else, and like how Meadow was like at that time she was kissing and slopping down this Cuban boy in that season, last season. So it's like here now she has this biracial Jewish / black boy here. So it's that weird thing. I mean, we'll know where it lands in the end, but it does. When you look at where it lands in the end of the series, it kind of comes off like, okay, you getting this off because you just, you know what I mean? Like they say you're like Carmella, but you're all me. Tony does things sometimes just to get that off. You know what I'm saying? So in some weird way, I feel like Meadow probably was trying to get something off. And it's weird because it's like they wasn't even on the downs. They was on the ups. But I don't know what her intent is, but I don't know.
Probably she just make her dad see the world a different way. Like if you're not gonna turn your back on me because you love me, I'm your one. Like so if I marry somebody black or outside of the Italian race or culture, excuse me, you gotta accept them at some point, and let's see if I can test your gangster and test your patience to see if I can wait it out, or if you're just gonna go your whole time. Tony told us in season 1, and here it's still 1954. You know what I mean?
That's before Martin Luther King right there.
I think it was. I think it's an act of defiance. I think throughout the series that we get Meadow with her choice of school, with her career choice later on in the series. All of these things, I feel like it was what you two were hitting on. It's like her trying to be a renegade against what Tony got going on. And it's almost to the point of, well, I'm not as bad as you because I know what you do, so you ought to let me get this little shit off. I'm going to test you on every corner on your morals and how you deal with me versus how you deal with the world. I feel that Meadow did that throughout the series. She kind of like, she's the white hat. She's kind of like, even again, I go to her career choice. We talk about her choice in men, where she wanted to go to college at in the first season. All of that was against what Tony wanted, the traditional way he did. And it wasn't in a negative, I'm wilding out. It was in I want, like you just said, Rich, I want you to stretch your mind. I'm the person in this family that's going to expand what you guys know and do. And I think it's a good scene with that, with the when they talking about the Frost book a little bit later when she talking to AJ.
Okay.
Yep.
I will say I did the rewind, how they did the transition from the rewind to the rewind on the TV of Public Enemy. Again, it's not necessary. Like, these are weird edits that are like, it's like, again, I get it in 90s going into 2000s. I get it, but it's like, it's just not necessary. I didn't like the edit. It was not needed.
I'm telling you, man, in my heart of hearts, I really think that they knew Nancy Marchand passed away.
Yeah.
And they had to address that in some way. Because here's the interesting thing. She passed away before this season started.
Right.
So the fans in real time knew, like, how are they going to answer for this? This actor's no longer around. So I think he knew that I'm going to do this CGI thing, which we'll talk about, to send her character off. And since that is going to be a little bit out of the norm and have to go into this fantasy element, for lack of better terms, let's just take the whole episode and fuck around with it a little bit. Because once we get past this episode, it's straight Sopranos, as we know.
Yeah. I got a big.
So I think he really used these
that.
first two seasons, and I think it's not a coincidence that this is the only time that they had 2 episodes premiere at once, back to back like that. I think he wanted to get all of this out the way, addressing that whole Nancy Marchand, addressing Livia. Let's answer these questions and let's get on into the real Sopranos world. Let's not drag it out for 2 weeks. Let's do it all at once.
So they dropped both of these at the same time?
You said what?
They dropped them both?
Yeah, they came out on the same night.
Yeah, they came out the same night.
Wow.
So I think since he knew that he had this part to build off of, he said, well, let's just fuck around with TV. I like doing that anyway in my dream sequences. The whole Robert Frost thing, as far as black versus white, symbolism meaning what you want it to mean, this show can mean what you want it to mean as well. So yeah, we normally are a more traditional and straight on television show. Let's take a couple episodes to just play around in that world before we get back to what we do. I think it was literally just him fucking around because he knew that they had to address this. Had the season going how it originally would have been, we never would have got any of this like editing or any of that stuff.
Yeah. I think that actually it's the last 4 episodes when you think about it. Because you got these 2, and then you got Fun House, which is the dream sequence, and then you got White and Satin Armor or whatever with Richie's death, and we get that little like music where Richie's son, little Ricky, was dancing, and we had that cartoon music that they were. So we got really the last 4 episodes of doing it. So I can get with that. I'm not mad at it. And even when we get to the Big P part, I like that. The rewind it's like y'all try to sell us on like, oh, we see blood next to Tony. He's on the ground in the kitchen. Oh, what happened? And then y'all rewind immediately. And it was like, the payoff just wasn't there, bro. Like, I get it, but it wasn't there. It was not there.
That's fair.
And I think even in that time, I don't feel like this is not something I'm going to shoot bail for. Like, oh, because it's 2000. I still feel like it just wasn't there. It's like, because I look at David Chase and the producers, and I look at them like, I know that y'all are so on a high level of intelligence. Y'all know that ain't needed, which will obviously later down the road, we don't see things like this, but like, it's just, again, still experimenting in season 3, but I don't know. I just didn't like the rewind. It was totally unnecessary to me, but Uncle Ben's is Tony's kryptonite.
And that's our ad, man. No matter how racist you are, that blackface in the cupboard always brings comfort to your home, man. So make sure that you keep your Uncle Ben's rice stocked up and ready to go in 2 minutes or less, man. Add it to any meal. Uncle Ben's rice.
Uncle Ben's rice. Let's go. Can we get a shirt?
Ad.
Yes.
Oh man.
To extend the scene, there's this moment between Carmela and Tony, and Carmela decides that this is the right play for them as they unite. On this Meadow situation, she say, "Look, let me talk to her." But it's funny because Tony is so racist that he's trying to get off more stuff like, if my dad, if my sisters would have brought home Carmela's already gone.
Butterhead.
Butterhead. When did black people become butterheads? Where did we get that?
I've never heard butterhead before.
Bruh, I was just gonna say the Sopranos is educational because it taught me a new
educational. It's an educational show.
Racial epithet.
Like, what?
Yeah, I had to look it up afterwards. Like, what's a butterhead? And I, just obviously the light skin.
Damn, boy.
You still black, but you.
It's like, what about burnt butterhead? Like, you know what I mean? Like we're not all butter colored. Like, you know what? We're officially replacing the word nigga with butterhead. Like, that's gonna be that is.
He just be throwing them around. He didn't even finish this episode either, but he just be throwing this shit out there. That's how you really feel,
bro. Which is funny because I still think about when he's called Janice fake dot head. Like, he don't care. Everybody could get it. Like, that's why I respect. I respect a racist that's racist against everybody. I don't respect a racist that's racist against one race. Because it's like,
he's straight up Archie Bunker.
Oh yeah,
it was full Archie Bunker.
Oh yeah, it's full Archie. I don't care nothing about none of y'all. Like, I feel like we're superior or whatever you feel, but you keeping that same energy with everybody. I can respect. I don't like you, but I can respect. I just don't like none of y'all. Like, you know what I mean? So I get that, but Yeah.
You know what's wild about that scene?
What?
And it has to be intentional because it's the Sopranos. Right before they cut away to the next scene, there's a jar of Hellman's mayonnaise on the left side of the counter. And it's by itself. It'd be different if it was like a whole pile of groceries. It's literally out there by itself, almost like I want you to see this.
Right.
In a racist ass scene. Right after you finish calling him a butterhead. So I don't
mayonnaise.
know.
Mayonnaise. This nigga was finna drink V8 juice with gabagool and provolone. Ain't no just looking at what I ate it.
And that speaks to his coping thing too. Like he copes with food. Like I did want to throw that out.
He
there.
do, and that's what triggers him too. One last thing, it's an all in the family thing. If y'all watch it or fans of the show, one of the funniest scenes on there, Archie gets stuck in the basement and he started praying, and a black guy walks up to the window and he thought that the black guy voice was God. That's probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen on TV. That shit.
Was it Morgan Freeman?
I don't know who that nigga was, man. It was his neighbor or somebody, and the nigga was praying, and he said, Archie, is that you? Man, I cry. Y'all haven't seen it. Watch that, bro. Man. I'll try to find the YouTube.
The fact that Spike watches sitcoms, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
amazing. Like those old sitcoms, my bag. I like all of it. All in the Family, Mama's Family, Married with Children.
Okay.
All of that old shit. Yeah.
That's dope.
Three's Company.
What did y'all think about Carmela's play though, real quick before we just keep it moving? What do y'all think about Carmela? Y'all think this was the right move as far as this interracial dating situation possibility? Yeah, that was the right move.
100%. Tony, we saw Tony's not equipped for that.
Yeah, sometimes Carmela's counsel can be good. She know Tony, and she know Metal. Like that was good right there. That's what a mom, I think, house head do like Carmela. So yeah, I agree.
And it's interesting. I don't know. I had to get a little more research on it before I jump out there with a take. But yeah, I agree. And they wasn't necessarily on the ups before, but anyways, the next scene, Tony visits Livia. We get the infamous CGI scene, and I know a lot of people hate it, and this is we won't harp so much on it, but Chase, unless you got some information on this scene, Rich, that you want to enlighten us on.
$250,000 is how much it costs to do this. And even though in 2023 it looks crazy, in 2000 when it aired, there was a small percentage of viewers who didn't know that wasn't Nancy Marching. So it served its purpose.
Know the
and there's still some spots. Yeah, there's still some spots here and there where that don't look bad. The close-ups don't do it justice. When you get into the close-ups, that's when the hair moves on different sides, but her just being out of frame, like that's it's not a bad
it's not.
take. I mean,
in that year,
I don't know
you're
if
right.
I would have. I guess you had to have it.
That was my question. Is some of the criticism because this really wasn't a needed scene? Like, really, we didn't really get nothing out of this other than Livia is a piece of shit, but we knew that. Like, with her not feeling the book, like
this is all more towards Nancy Marching. Do we owe her a send-off? Versus just
it's like
her last scene, not knowing that it was going to be her last scene.
Gotcha,
we owe her something on screen for that.
That makes sense.
I think that's where their mind was.
Classic Livia.
Yeah.
David Chase. It says that I looked up. It says David Chase felt that Tony and Livia needed one last scene together. He felt it was necessary to the platform for the rest of the story. So I overall, how I believe that what he was saying was, it's like. And the storyline, and Rick should give us even more enlightenment, but the original storyline was going to be these airline tickets. They were going to play a big part in maybe it take Tony down, maybe it doesn't. But now, since the storyline has to wrap because the late great Nancy Marchand has passed, they have to wrap that up. So kind of utilizing this dialogue and even utilizing this interaction between them two, and even the memory book of the grandchildren and stuff, and then even Svetlana. I think people can hate the CGI, but I absolutely think it's necessary, because when I watched this the first time around, I didn't catch the CGI, and not only did I not catch the CGI, I didn't catch the twist of, like, when we get later where we find out she passed. I didn't even know. I'm like, oh, like, so it felt so Soprano-esque how they even gave the reveal. Just like we got later episodes where a character will die, but that's right in the early part of the episode. They more so spend time on the reaction and how they dealt with it, which is a great Soprano, sauce that they do. So I personally, I'm not mad at the CGI And it makes sense to what Rich was saying earlier. It's like, if we're going to go ahead and put $250,000 on the CGI, we might as well play a lot with some of the effects and some funny little rewinds and funny little, ghost characters that we'll see later in the episode. So I totally agree with you. But did y'all get anything else in regards to this Svetlana? I mean, we got a reveal of her before this moment, but this is where she starts to become like a character here. And then even like Tony going off on his mother. Do y'all get anything else from this scene?
Don't wave your hanky at me.
Hey man, no hate, no.
When you know it's CGI, that line makes it even funnier.
Oh right. Yeah,
but that was a good job by James Gandolfini in that scene.
Yeah, it really was.
Good job. Facts.
Yeah, it was, because they were really reaching for things. Set aside the CGI. What kind of, you could tell where it doesn't line up is because Livia is not just letting things ride. There's a lot of those kind of, she has kind of the constipated face where it's like, that, don't use that type of talk. And then she has that face where she's like, whatever kind of face. Livia doesn't let anything ride, because we got at the beginning of the season where, he was trying to work out things and she's up, that stat. Like, she's not letting anything ride, so it was just a funny thing when you look at it now. And some people that are new to the show, maybe they're like, oh, I didn't even know it was CGI. Like, so, but I want to say before we move on, this is not new. This was a long time ago, 2000, 2001. Rest in peace, Nancy Marchand. The character you love to hate, the character that David Chase felt was closest resemblance to his mother in real time. And so I appreciate her work here, and even some of her historical work that I may have not checked out, but I appreciate what she was able to bring to this show. And I'm thankful, man. Like, I really am, like, because a character that can move you emotionally like that, positive or negatively, you got to give him big kudos. We talk all the time about Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Like, regardless, we got to get that young boy or maybe young man now his flowers, because he moves us emotionally, like it or not. You know what I mean? You got to respect that. Or young Tariq from Power, got to respect it. You don't like him, but he moves us. So, same here, right? Nancy Marchand, rest in peace, man.
Y'all know that AJ is the same age that Tony was when the season started this week.
I saw that today, Spike. That shit wild.
It made me feel old. Wow. Like, that is insane. But yes, RIP to her. I didn't mean to step on what you said.
No, you can.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. And obviously she did a lot of other work too. So
Tony's watching Public Enemy. And not only that, but we get some big news here. I did want to ask, is Tony rewatching this movie, or is he not finishing it every time it comes up on this episode? Because I wasn't really sure.
Great question.
I think that he was kind of kept getting disturbed and was catching the different pieces of where he left off the last time. That was my take on it.
I think the same. I never thought about it until you asked it, but Tony Soprano isn't the type of person that just has time to watch
right
that movie over and over again. So he's probably picking up where it leaves off.
Yeah.
So we get this moment where Meadow is saying, like, she's asking him, did you say something? Did you say something? Did you say something to Noah?
You better walk up them steps.
He's like, if you smart, you'll walk up them stairs. And she ain't getting, do I need to say it in Swahili? Bro.
Man, God damn.
Bro.
Man, that was
Swahili?
I was like,
dog.
Like, that's
up there with the Tarzan movie.
Racist.
That is up there with the
Tarzan. Nigga, Swahili
is black as you get. That's black as it gets.
Yeah, that's the blackest you're gonna get right there.
Wait a minute, Spike, you got a Public Enemy shirt on. This guy. First, last week we had Rich with both books. Man, y'all stop doing me like this, bro. Y'all, man, we got a group chat, man. Y'all put me on the loop, man. Like, what are we doing? I'm sitting here with the suit on and I'm all out the loop. He got a Public Enemy. Oh, you got the books. All right, next week I'll do a little deeper research here, because y'all leaving me out here, man.
Oh man, never intentional, Mo.
Yeah, y'all gotta check, for those that are listeners, y'all go check out the YouTube. Y'all want to see the visual of Spike's Public Enemy shirt. That's dope. But Carmela immediately interrupts and diffuses the situation. Shouts out to Carm right here. I like when she does. They work as a team, as a family.
Doing her job, right? She doing her job right here.
we get a quick moment that Tony just goes outside, moves his sprinklers, smoking a cigar. He comes in and then he gets the news that his mother has passed away. I want to ask y'all, in the original watch, if y'all can remember, how was this a surprise to y'all when y'all found out immediately like your mother's passed away? Like in the very first watch, you remember watching this?
I knew before the season, right? So I knew some kind of way it was going to do it. I didn't know how they was going to. It was in the little blogs and shit like that.
You were following blogs in 2001?
Entertainment Week. I used to read Entertainment Weekly. And I started reading Entertainment Weekly when Lost. Did Lost come out after this? Well, Entertainment Weekly and it was after this, but I read Entertainment Weekly and it mentioned that happened, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. But no, I didn't know how it was gonna play out on scene. So yeah, it was surprising.
Wow.
And a little footnote: you talked about the style of them not really doing it. Succession did this. I didn't even realize that until you said it. They dealt with the death in a similar manner. Like it wasn't necessarily the death; it was the phone call and everything around it too. So that was a good pull. Right?
Incredible episode of television.
Oh my god.
Incredible episode.
Top 10 episodes of TV. Is that one right?
Yeah, it really was.
The other 9 is from the Sopranos.
Some wires in there, some Game of Thrones.
All right, the other 5 is
some West Wing, if you ask me. I finished West Wing.
Yeah, we'll go see when you get through 86 of these joints. but I dig it, no doubt. What about you, Rich? Was this like in the original watch? Were you reading the TV guides and reading the information like Spike, or like?
No, I wasn't. I'm still a few years younger than Spike, so I wasn't. I'm in the middle of y'all too, man. I'm in the middle of y'all too, so I wasn't. It makes sense that Spike was up to date on all that. I wasn't. I wasn't all the way there yet. So yeah, it was a little bit shocking. But to Spike's point, when you watch that episode of Succession, not to cross over, but they handled it the same way as far as just the emotions of it and the effects of it and the realism. Like it was a lot of realistic emotion. We're normally seeing somebody getting that news and bursting out into tears and hysteria. And even though we know that Tony and Livia had their issues, that's still your mother, right? And there is just that first shock, like what? Like damn, especially when you just saw, you know what I mean? I just saw her. What do you mean she passed? So more than anything, him just trying to figure it out and just being like, damn. So all of that was the death was shocking, but more so just the fact that we didn't see it or it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't a smothering up with the pillow. You know what I mean? It was just something how it really happens in real life. The mundaneness, the regularness.
The regularness. Great pull. Like, and that's what I mean, this is genius level usage in regards to like we've lost a great actress that gave her all. Like even if they had to shoot in hospital because she was really sick in those last days, she wanted to still keep going. Like the great Nancy, she wanted to keep going anyway, keep shooting like up until her last day. So shooting in the hospital and so to get this like and in the range of Tony, James Gandolfini, but like Tony, where it's like this range of like anger, sadness, peaceful, confused. It's so much there of like, what does Tony feel? And it's amazing because we are on the roller coaster ride of all of the things. We know that she transpired against him. We also know that she has an issue. We also know that she finds joy in negativity. So maybe it's not her fault. Where does she get that? It's so many questions we have why Olivia is like that. You know what I mean? Is it just her purposely being evil, or she never had a chance? We don't know her childhood. So it's like amazing to go through these range of emotions with Tony. And I will speak a little bit more to, what I believe Tony's feeling and what I believe is a trait of Tony's that we'll see much later down the series. But Tony tells the kids immediately, he transfers the energy to like your grandmother, your grandma loved them. And and that's a trait of Tony's. He don't know how to grieve. He just doesn't grieve like ever. And it's not because he's trying to be strong. I feel like it's some other reason, which I think we'll get that reveal in season 6. But
sociopath.
Yeah. But but I did want to ask, do you think, well, I guess Spike kind of already answered that, but anything else y'all get from this scene? Just everything that's going on, Meadow, kind of having to put things aside, which is very mature for a freshman in college. Like I'm very much mad at you still, but and throughout the episode we see that complexity with her, but her having to do that. Carmela, she's riding out with things, but she ain't all necessarily on the ups with Tony either. You know, AJ, they're okay. I mean, they had a slice of pizza to kind of reconcile things. He's a boy, so he's all right. But like the two women in the family, they're not necessarily on the ups with Tony, but they have to put it aside for Tony at this moment. Anything else I get from this scene?
I took it a little differently from you from Tony. I feel like his initial reaction was like, you're kidding me, and everything else was bullshit because he thought that that's what people wanted to see. I don't think that any of that was authentic other than you're kidding me. And I think that the reason why, it'll come out later when he's talking to Dr. Melfi, and us being connoisseurs of this show, knowing his characteristics, like I feel like that his initial reaction was his true one, and all that other shit was just, let me act like the part. And then you got that throughout the episode from different people feeling like they had to act like Tony wanted them to act, being in this situation about Livia and his mom. Because like you're right, in the traditional sense, this is a very sad thing, but it's a fantastic fucking scene in the show later that shows this wasn't a traditional death. And you're not going to get the traditional feelings that you would from a funeral. And I think David Chase did an amazing job of putting it all together a little closer to the end. But I think Tony he didn't give two fucks that his mom died.
Is it because of the socio thing, or is it because okay,
it ain't really, it ain't a lot to do with, again,
okay.
It ain't a lot to do with, not, it's the socio thing. Like
okay, the social thing. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add to that, Rich?
Nah, he nailed it.
Okay. I can't wait till we get there, but I hate that ended up being what it was, but we'll get there. They head to Livia's house, and I mean, again, Chase using what he has to be able to like make us feel like, you know, because again, for those that are, I mean, we know Sopranos has had a crazy reach way down the road. So now it's grown so much more than what it was in the 90s, 2000s now with social media. To know, like, for those that have watched it that didn't necessarily know Nancy Marchand passed away, they're really milking this. I'm watching 90210, and like when they got rid of Brenda Walsh, it was like if you didn't watch it in that time, you didn't know, oh, there was some trouble behind the scenes. So you kind of like, yo, what happened? What's going on? Like, and the way they're milking it, like, dead. Yeah, like the phone call, like, oh, she's this and that. So you're riding it out. So here doing the next scene where they go to Livia's, the ambulance driving off and Tony's looking, that's like the send off. And they do a great job of making us think we might see her again, but we're not going to see her again. Throughout, we'll see that later at the funeral home too. But Svetlana tells Tony that she broke the promise, that Livia never wrote anything down for the grandkids, and you know, we get a lot. They kind of go back and forth between this and AJ doing his homework, and Meadow helping him out. And this is where the concept comes in that Rich was speaking about, it between like black and white, lightness and darkness, snow and darkness or whatnot. What did y'all get between these two scenes, between the Sopranos household with Meadow and AJ, and then Livia's household with Svetlana, Tony, and Carmela?
Well, to start things out, I thought it was very interesting when Svetlana told her that she died of a massive stroke. Because that's what she said. She had a stroke when we, you know, I know Bells Bonds Mo was trying to say that Livia got some other stuff going on, but she didn't have no stroke. You know, I don't think there's any possibility of that. So the fact that she actually passed that way was pretty interesting. With the Robert Frost thing, Meadow helping him, AJ with his homework, that was just, you know, we don't get a ton of AJ Meadow scenes throughout this episode. I mean, not throughout this episode, but throughout the whole series. We get them as a family, but it's not a ton of just those two. And I always kind of enjoy them. I enjoy that big sister, little brother. They're siblings. They're not friends. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see them interact kind of in a friend way. And, you know, Meadow obviously caring about her brother, but just explaining, it reminds me of something Spike said last season when he pointed out, forget which episode, but Meadow only had one scene.
Oh yeah,
I think she won the good earner for Spike that episode because that one scene was pretty much her going over some more literature with AJ. It was the one when he said that'd be interesting when he stole the bins and got in the accident and all that. I feel like Meadow was used for those as an avatar in a sense for
I
those
agree.
type of moments. Go ahead,
I think
Spike.
it's the same thing with what we were asking about with Tony and the purpose that she plays with him and all of the decisions she makes. She's kind of the person, the avatar was a good word. She stretches the thought process of this family, whether it be with her mother, whether it be with AJ, whether it be with her dad. She's the one that all of them respect enough for her to be able to voice an opinion and them not completely just flip it away. Like she challenges the whole family in different means. So I think that was dope.
Yeah. And I think just you can take that for what it is. And that's the whole purpose of, I believe, the show, of the whole conversation. If black is supposed to mean death, then why does white mean death?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? If black is, you know what I mean? Black, white, you said it perfectly, Mo. Like, what do you mean? Like, if I can look at this thing and I can come up with my own conclusion, then what's the purpose of us even symbolizing stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of just that mundaneness of life, just what the Sopranos is about in a sense. Everything's up to interpretation. Is he a good guy or is he a bad guy?
Mm-hmm.
Are we trying to glorify Tony Soprano? Or are we just trying to show a world that actually exists?
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you for how you want to take it. It says a lot about us who love the anti-hero versus the actual system of what it takes. That's why I love The Wire so much. That's why The Wire is a little bit ahead, because they looked at the systems as a whole versus the characters. The characters were just a part of the main thing.
Mm-hmm. It's bigger than Nino Brown.
Yeah, it's bigger than Nino Brown. And the Sopranos does a really good job of that as well.
Yeah.
But it's all up to us as what we really care about. Like, yeah, the gangster shit is cool, but somebody's garbage truck got blown up in real time. Like, somebody's got some real repercussions for the actions that they did. Regular citizens. So, it's all up for interpretation of what you like, and that's what life is too.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks.
I think ultimately, bro, like, well, I thought black was deaf. White is deaf too. Guess what? It's all a big nothing. It's all a big nothing, bro. Like, Livia dies in this phrase, and who did she say this to? She said this to AJ. So this scene I feel like it's so intentional. Like, it's easy to be missed if we haven't watched it multiple times. Meadow says that, she says, what horse has bells on them? The one's pulling a sleigh. He says, "Oh, Thanksgiving."
Thanksgiving?
Bro, Thanksgiving. What horse pulls a sleigh?
Where the fuck is your head at, bro? Like, that nigga.
This guy. Anyways, I ain't got time.
Not even worth the comment. Like,
that's why I say I
like,
like that nigga
is say nothing.
Man, whatever happened there? Like, that's
he's
AJ.
Disturbingly unserious. Like,
whatever happened there?
Like, it's disturbing, right?
AJ is literally, for our Seinfeld fans, yada yada yada. Like, that is AJ. Like, you fill in the blank, bro. He's yada yada yada, straight up. But like, that's she funny. Goes into this white endless, the big sleep, which is kind of like the big nothing. And so it's just this whole metaphor here. It's like these racial lines, but it's a metaphor too of like the black was deaf, but white too. Like, I don't know. It's just, this was just one of those things you could tell it was super intentional. It was super on point, super on par, and this concept plays out.
Yeah, and it showed with what she was dealing with too, like dating a black guy. Like, she sees it differently from Tony. She doesn't see black as evil like AJ, like Tony, and all that. She has a wider perspective, and she walked him to that conclusion. He still didn't get it.
Yeah,
she did a fantastic job of not just telling him, but walking him to that conclusion. And it shows too, like, for her, like, again, her thought process is a lot different from everybody else in that family.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know where she learned that from.
She's
because we see AJ dumbass, she picking up everything Tony. Like, I wonder where she learns that from.
What was that AJ was hearing in the house? Because we heard the creaks. I mean, there's the idea that there's supernatural things that happen in the Soprano verse. But I ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, I ain't gonna go down the rabbit hole because I would have to go through so much. But shouts out to Crotto, Soprano, the Soprano Guy podcast and all that. But I can't go down that rabbit hole because it's too deep to like just. We ain't gonna never get done with the show. But what do y'all think those creeks was? Was that like, the boys coming over? Because we find out later that they end up over there, or are they just, I don't know, messing with us?
I don't know what that was. I feel like it was a throwaway. I have no idea what they were trying to do right there.
Okay, because it's like, remember when she did pop up that one time, like grandma, like, and she did pop up that time, where she act like, or she act like she didn't know things. But anyways, Tony calls Barbara. and tells her like, "Hey, look, this is what's going on." And Barbara's like, she's like, "I'm gonna call Janice, and we're gonna lock in things." And Tony's like, "Okay, let's meet at Cozzarelli's tomorrow." Did y'all know that Barbara lived in Jersey?
No, I did not know that. I thought they came from out of town.
I mean, because we didn't get she needed a flight ticket or anything like we get with.
I think it's driving distance. I think
I
she
was gonna
lives
say,
somewhere
I don't
like
think
New York, Philly, somewhere in that where she
okay.
can get there in an hour or two.
Yeah, and Barb strikes me as like a housewife.
Okay.
I don't think she works or has a career or anything like that. And they never make mention of it, even though they don't give us much mention of anything Barb related for the most part. But it seems like wherever she is, she's not too far from home.
Right. Yeah, she's still East Coast based, I think.
Yeah, because she would still visit Livia and stuff like that, and like, so.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, Spike. We don't get much, but from that kitchen, Barbara's living pretty nice too.
Nice house,
yeah, nice little set. But it's established here that Livia didn't want a service. She didn't want to be remembered at all. It's a big nothing vibes, pretty much. Like I was saying in the last scene. And then we get this. I mean, one of the best moments of, to me, Sopranos, but one of the best moments of this episode. Svetlana comes out with the vodka, which we know that's kind of a Russian thing. I mean, everybody drinks vodka at some point, but like we know that kind of callback or the origin of vodka, and they have it, and then we get the name of the episode, Proshai Livushka, which means goodbye, little Livia. And what a way to celebrate Livia, even though we didn't like Livia, but celebrate also Nancy Marchand as well in real time. I really, really love this scene. Anything else y'all want to add to this before they go to the next scene? Okay. We go to the next scene. They return home and the guys are there. That's why I was asking, do you think they were like creeping into Tony's house or not? But like we go to the next scene and Tony walks in and we see Silvio, we see Paulie, which is interesting and Christopher. And then, of course, we're going to see the other guys later. But I think this was like a very interesting thing that these are the guys that are immediately going like, nah, we ain't letting it ride. We coming back. We coming to see the boss right now at this time and at his hour of need. AJ is watching skateboarding and apparently he's into it. There's a lot that kind of happens in this scene. What do y'all get from this scene, this whole interaction with the guys and checking in on Tony?
Just the uneasiness around death, like people awkward, not really knowing what to say. This is their boss, so they don't want to be too soft or consoling, but still they want to show some respect at the same time. So just the uneasiness of a whole situation of death, I think, is what this was showing. And AJ aloof ass, like you said, just watching skateboard, like okay, but yeah.
And also, I think just to piggyback off that, it shows the ability to not have that emotional responsibility if you are someone who's AJ or his age or a grandchild. It's a little bit different, I think Meadow even says, "I'm sorry your mom died." She didn't say, "I'm sorry grandma died." "I'm sorry your mom died." Like, this is going to hit you a lot harder than me. They was working on homework and right back to regular shit. It didn't have that effect. Versus the guys, it's one of those things where Tony, that these are the guys who know Tony the best, and they know what it is with Olivia. So it's one of those awkward moments too. Death is already awkward, like Spike just mentioned. And it's also, I know you ain't even like her for real. Like, so what do I even say to really console you or to give you proper words? Because you might not even be hurting. You doing the song and dance the same way we doing the song and dance. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Spike said it earlier, I think his real reaction was, "You're kidding." It wasn't, right. Damn, it wasn't, "I'm sorry." Like, I'm upset, I'm sad.
Yeah.
If it was up to him, he wouldn't have no remembrance. He don't want them over there. He want to be by himself. He want to chill. Like, he wanted to be the family.
He want to watch Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
It's funny because Seal says something very interesting. He says, "We all know how much you loved her." When normally people say, we all know how much she loved you. I thought that was a real interesting and very telling statement. Because normally mothers, that's why I think it's sentimental later at the very end. But like normally we'd be like, "Well, we know how much she loves you," but there's no comfort in that because they all know that she was a piece of work. But we all know how much you loved her because he would be leaving the Bing and going to check on his mother. We even see that in season 1. So I thought that was a really interesting statement, and it's one of the funny lines that we get. You know, what are you gonna do? And I use that all the time. I promise you, I use like that. What are you gonna do? Like it fits so many scenarios in life. You know, Barb cost.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, man. There's just that other baggage too that they know. Everybody knows that everybody's bullshitting. Like the word was already out that you went up to the spot and tried to strangle your mom with a pillow. Like we all know that. We also know
like we hurt. Yeah.
Great call.
Yeah, we also know that you never really reconciled that with your mom. You know what I mean? So that just adds to the awkwardness. It's just kind of one of those.
And not only did you try to kill her, she tried to kill you.
Yeah,
all of us out in the street.
Yeah, we gotta do this because if you don't,
that's what people do.
It changes relationships and it's not proper protocol. But at the same time, you don't have to do it because.
But then that would have been the thing. Could you imagine Tony didn't have a funeral for his mom, and then just like they were talking about the alleged shit that happened, how they'll be talking about it behind his back if he didn't do anything. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Carmela's parents pull up. That speaks volumes to how much they care about Tony. And we get a little bit more of their relationship with Tony later down the road. Even more specifically, Tony's father.
I'm sorry, man. I don't think they care about Tony, man. That's just the right thing to do, man. That's just what you do in those moments. I
mean, that's what you do, but I don't.
This is Wizard of Oz. Aha, the witch is dead.
I mean, I get that. I think the actual funeral is more of that. I think this moment is like we do care about Tony. We don't care about her. Like I don't agree with y'all. Because the way the father feels about Tony later down season 5, that to me confirms this. Without a doubt.
I think they also know that how we feel about your mom. Fuck her.
That's what I'm saying. They don't. That's what I'm saying. They're not there for the mom though. They're not there for the mom. They there for Tony. That's why I'm saying
rejoicing that she gone. Nigga, they dancing.
They want to check. They want to make sure. Like
champagne. They trying to make sure. If they could have brought champagne, they would have popped that shit when they walked in the door, nigga.
Two things could be true. Two things.
Nah, that's fair. I'm not saying.
You see what I'm saying? I know they hate her. We get that. We know, but I think that they care about Tony. Like I do think that they care about Tony more specifically. I won't even say the mom cares about Tony. I would say I think the dad does. I don't think the mom does because how she felt about Tony having Gumars, and I don't think she really cares that much about. But I do think the dad does because that's what me.
I can get with you on that because everybody does, and that's the one thing about death that this episode explores. Yes, it's tragic and it's messed up, but it's also you have to do things that you don't want to do. We'll get to it when it gets time to Olivia's service and how everybody's preparing for it. You know, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to go to this shit, but you have to. If you don't, you know, it's the sin of all sins.
Well, then let's speak about doing things you don't want to do. Barb calls Tony. And she's all bent out of shape because big sis don't want to show up to her mother's, you know, anything dealing with her mother dying. And so Tony calls and he's going crazy on her like right now. My question is which is the reason Janice didn't want to come? Is it 1, the plane tickets were $1,100, which is crazy in 2001. 2, because of Ricky's murder, or 3, she don't do well at funerals. Because these are all things she's mentioned. Which one do y'all think is the reason that she really didn't want to come?
It was $1,100. 80 broke ass, man.
85% plane ticket, 15% Richie, 0% doing well.
0. Yeah, I agree. And she liked to be. I feel like she played that card to get Tony to react that way. She wanted them to beg her to come, and man, now you know, but you got people like that. Yeah, all of us know people like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I can't like. Man,
I ain't got nothing to wear. Did they pull up?
Yeah, I don't really. Stop. Did you peep how she answered the phone though?
Yeah, right. She is a piece of work. Hey, look.
She's a fucking con
now,
artist.
If we want to be a bondsman, you want to talk about Maurice bondsman, I'm going to be the bondsman for Janice. Only because I'm going to put her neck and neck with Tony. Like, if we going to love Tony, then...
I fuck with Janice, yeah.
Okay,
Janice
okay. So
Janice
we wanted a few.
The biggest gangster on this show.
I'm not... She's one of them, yeah. No, we stop doing that. Stop doing that.
Man, I'm
don't do that.
You, man.
Don't do that.
Janice gangster, bro.
Stop doing that.
The episode,
like,
we get to the episode Hey, when we get to the episode where I think that she might be more gangster than Tony, I'll point it out.
Okay, I can't wait to get there.
definitely-
But she caught a body and left the town. Tony catches a body and keeps it moving. She not a bigger gangster than
She
Tony.
came back.
Yeah, but on who called the shots?
She
Don't
ain't
do
leave
that's
either, did she?
Nah, don't do
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like
She's one of
she
the
not
big
only
ones, but we
came
not gonna
back,
say
she peeped
Tony.
the scene and she like, I'm finna set up shop. They
You
got
might be
this bitch
top.
limping around in my mama's house. Oh no, I'm finna all of this is over. Dead no, it is. Janice is a gangster, nigga. You seen the opportunity is
All right, hold on. She seen him play 3 times down the road.
Man,
boy.
she seen the play 3 times down.
Oh,
Jones is
shit.
I hear you. I hear you. I do.
Over, nigga.
I hear you. She might be top 10, but we cannot. Nobody's more gangster than Tony in this series.
She
It's
up
just,
there with it.
it's not. But she's in the,
weak.
and maybe she'll make top 5. We'll see when we get down the road. But that's funny. She set up a play immediately on this episode.
Facts.
Oh,
That's all she
Seen
do.
the-
Ace's Garage is a play. Like all she does is make plays.
So what was she working at a chicken shop or something? Because look,
I'm
this
gonna say,
had to be.
meanwhile, she got a fast food shirt on. Did she
Yeah.
say Ace's Garage? While
Ace's
she
Garage.
was
That's for them bill collectors that be calling.
Yeah.
So she ain't got to
People
say
looking
Janet
for her.
Soprano.
Oh,
Ace's
yeah.
Garage. Oh, I must have the wrong number. Click. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
man. She
So-
always thinking of a hustle.
So how much time has accrued here that we're believing from season 1 to season 2? Are we believing a year? Because she's already set up. She has a fiance. I'd imagine this is her fiance's place. Maybe he was doing well before her, and she just moved into this.
Doing well.
I mean,
Nigga arguing about working Columbus Day weekend. What you talking?
in a one bedroom.
Grown
Okay,
AJ. This
hold
grown
on, hold
AJ
on.
over here.
Hold on. Before y'all dog, I'm saying doing well, like with her not using any of her connection to the mob, being her brother and other family members, her just living the everyday life where she's not really going to work for anything like that. She's doing all right. She got a whole place. She met some young fiance that bangs her brains out. We'll find out later, or was that the season before? But like,
that was the season.
okay, well, season before she got a young man. Clearly, she older than him by far. So
But
she's
she a
doing.
scam artist though. That's the only nigga that would fuck with her.
Say,
Probably.
she was
I
doing
mean,
that.
but
She
still,
wasn't living off
Janice don't
Tony.
look
It's
like
work, but
nothing.
it's working. It's working. We
Is
can't.
it?
Yeah, that's
Bro,
that's
their
Janice.
kitchen. Their kitchen is in their living room, bro. They not living in real at all. Her and them young dudes.
That kicks it in. Hold on, bro.
Their
Let me
kitchen
look.
was right there by the TV, bro.
Like I said, this nigga eating eggs and she talking.
They eat
Literally,
eggs
he
in the middle
literally
of the
is
night.
the biggest worry of his day is that
It's
his
Columbus
boss
Day.
asked him to work Columbus Day weekend. That lets you know exactly what's going on in the life of Janet
Man.
Sopranos. I'm surprised she ain't changed her name. She probably got a different name for that nigga.
She
Probably
definitely
got
had a different name.
He don't even know. He don't even know Janice.
Nah, she ain't even Janice, bro. But it's hilarious how Tony's going crazy on her on the phone.
How she know how much the ticket was off the top of her head?
Because she looked.
Because
she
she
looked
is
it up.
scared.
Looked
She
it up.
knew the
said
play.
She looked it up. She looked it up.
She knew the play. She knew, like, I'm about to get Tony to buy this ticket.
Spoiler
I ain't
alert.
got no money.
Spoiler alert. The ticket's not $1,100.
Of course not.
They put that up. Her and Buddy put that up.
Oh yeah,
Nah,
she
they ain't
came.
gotta
No,
let
it ain't her and
Columbus
Buddy. It's just her. Like Buddy was never. He don't know anything. She's never
That's
coming
true.
back to Buddy, so he knows nothing. You know what I mean? She. But can we get the Harpo spinoff? Seriously, can we get the?
What?
Please, can we get the Harpo spinoff, man? Come on, man. I like to see his life in
It wasn't
Canada.
no Harpo, bro. I'm starting to think that it wasn't no Harpo. Like she made them.
Hey, P, did she really even
Yeah.
exist?
Did she really even exist?
Right? Did she even exist?
But we'll get there. But I wonder, like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Hey, Tony funny as hell, bro.
Oh man.
Like I love like when he gets into it with you got your sister sobbing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he don't know what else to
Mouse
feel.
Go
Just
to
like
fucking
Janice,
head.
right.
Told her this case is colder than your tit.
Mm-hmm.
She was
Wow.
your mother. All
She
that
was your
shit, bro. The whole
mother.
conversation. Gang Gandolfini put on a masterclass this episode.
Absolutely. And
So Harpo is homeless.
yes,
Y'all
Yeah,
see?
he's homeless. Yeah, he's a street
He's
person.
homeless, man.
Yeah.
And Tony's so disconnected that he calls him by the wrong name.
He called him Harper.
Yeah, he
Harper.
don't even know he on some best
Corrected him.
man
Well,
shit.
well, hold on. I think that I honestly, to be real with y'all, I think the subtitles got it wrong because I think his accent was bended because she said his name is Hal now. So I think he was saying Harpo, but the subtitles got it Harper because I was like, why would he call her Harper? Why do we call him Harper?
Oh.
But I think that's what I think. But Who
I
knows?
don't know what it was. Either way, I just know that Tony knew the game. As soon as she said the price of that ticket, it's like, oh, you just know offhand how much the ticket is, huh? Okay, then.
Cool.
And I love when she tried to finesse the second ticket for her fiance. Man, fuck that.
Now
fuck
you get
him,
one
fuck
sick ticket, and it's in coach, dude.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for your ticket. I'm doing this shit because it's the right thing to do. A theme along with the rest of the episode. This is what you're supposed to do in these situations.
What you're supposed to do in these situations.
Out of respect for my father.
Yeah, straight up.
So, but I always like them trying to work things out as a family, especially the Soprano family, Barb, Tony, and Janice. I like when they work things out. So that's very interesting. Tony and Carmela's in bed, and it's a quick little scene. And I wanted to ask, what is Tony getting from this black and white film? I mean, I guess it's Public Enemy. At this point, what do you? Because I like that they're weaving this in. I'm not mad at this. I'm cool with. I just don't know what he's getting from it. What do y'all think at this point he's getting from it? You got a mob brother and another brother, and one brother's taking care of the mother, and the other guy's making money like on a dirty way. And I guess the regular brother's like, nah, I got her, and he basically throws money at him. What do y'all think Tony's getting from this film?
I think he relates to the main character. The James Cagney dude, the one that they showed is starring such and such. I think that Tony relates to him and kind of sees himself in that character, kind of the outcast, back and forth with his mom, is trying to just provide for the family and things of that nature. I've never seen the movie, but just throughout this and the scenes that they show Tony watching, it seems that he has some type of relation to it, or he empathizes or sympathizes with that character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the overall theme that the show is trying to show or tell us as viewers, as as Tony Sopranos related. I think he's just doing something that's comfortable. We know Tony loves film.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something we picked up on about him, and he's trying to find some kind of peace or comfort.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stat that most people watch movies that they know the outcome of because there's something about the anxiety of the unknown. Like, you know what's going to happen, you know the ending, the whole nine. So I think he's just trying to do some kind of escape, and he's realizing how much this film parallels with his life. Because the film is about, it's pretty much an Irish American instead of Italian American.
Mm-hmm.
Street kid just trying to make his way. He's trying to make it in the world of organized crime. Mm-hmm. So Tony sees himself while also trying to get away from. In order to get away from my main life, I got to go watch somebody else live my main life. It's kind of one of those things.
Great pull. We go to the next scene. The feds is listening in, and the rest of the crew show up. And who do we see? We see Vito, Patsy, Albert, and we see Ralphie Silveretto with his crocodile tears.
First Ralph appearance.
Ralph appearance, and let me tell you, I am excited, boy. He is one of my favorite characters. He's right there with the with the Phil Leotardos. When the Ralph era comes in, it's time to cook. But I will speak more to that later. But man, I am happy to see Ralph Silveretto.
Did you mind them just dropping him in here? Like I feel like The Sopranos is a good show where they don't have to really explain the characters. We can just roll somebody in. He been in Miami, whatever it may be, and now he back trying to be captain. I like the fact that we won't have to go through this whole formal introduction and get no background and shit. Just insert, plug, and play.
Yeah, man, I love that fact. I love that you bring it up, Spike, because all TV shows, especially the prestige ones, the ones that you love, these characters kind of become, I don't want to say family, but they become like friends.
Yeah, that's your world.
So it's almost like we visiting the house too, and we don't know Ralphie. If I visited y'all and y'all introduced me to somebody, y'all obviously vouching for him.
Yeah.
Like, so this dude must be cool because y'all with him too. So it's almost like viewers, we get that same effect. Like, whoever this dude is, everybody cool with him. He here in a moment of tragedy, so he must be okay. So I don't need to know nothing else. We'll get all the rest of the pieces along. And as we get to know more, I think it does more for his character too.
It does.
We don't even know he's supposed to be a big player. We just know it's some new dudes.
Yep.
Furio was a new dude too, but we see outside of the first episode where he came back and wrecked shop. He's pretty much been doing mundane work.
Yeah.
Ralphie gets to it off the jump.
Yeah. I did want to ask, and y'all, I probably have an idea how y'all feel, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. I think of Ralph Trait, and we ain't there yet, but I think of Ralph Trait, he has a thing about his internal family. He said we lost mother last year. And we'll see a later scene down the road about a family member of his that is going through something that it hits Ralph to the core. Do y'all think this is genuine for Ralph as far as what he feels? Because he looked like he got real tears, like he's really over here with the no.
Yeah, he's probably a good actor.
He lost his mama, right? He feels sad because he lost his mama. He thinking about that. He don't give a fuck about Tony.
So, but you do think he feels something?
Maybe a little bit. It probably might be a shot at Tony. Like Tony might not even have done anything, or he might have given his like proper respects and the envelope and all that. But
facts.
Outside of that, he probably no check in. That's why he hit him with the. That's I think why he specifically said you remember.
Yeah, it's probably some sideways Ralph shit.
Ralph's just a different dude, man. You can't predict Ralph.
He's definitely unpredictable. I tell you what I will say, and we'll get further down the road and we'll get more exhortation on Ralph. But like I'm gonna say it right now for all those Soprano fans and all those on IG and Twitter and whatever, stop comparing Ralph to Richie Aprile. They are not the same people. I am so tired of seeing people post, oh, this is the same version, but they're not the same, bro. Like Ralph doesn't have moxie. Ralph is not a tough guy. We ain't there yet, but like I hate when I see this. It bothers me so much. I'm like, oh, they're the same. They're same people on two different sides of the coin. No, they are not, bro. So anybody listening,
so strongly, what make you feel so strongly that they're not though?
Because they're not. Because
one might say that Ralphie got a little bit more moxie than Richie.
I was going to say Ralphie might got
Ralphie
Richie.
know how to move it. Ralphie know how to move, negotiate, play the game, still do what he need to do.
Ralphie,
because one of them is a tough guy, and one of them is a earner, is a hustler.
Ralphie wasn't no bitch though.
Man, come on. When we see Ralphie get tough, no. When we see Ralphie get tough, it's one time, and it's when his Jackie Jr. comes around and he knew he could get it off. That's the only time we see Ralphie get tough.
Let me ask you this. Did anybody do anything?
Huh?
And we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later, but you saying the only time you think he's tough, they let him get that off. Okay. In a room full of gangsters, they let him get that off.
It wasn't a room full of gangsters there. It was him and Jackie Jr.
Are we talking about the two different situations?
Yeah, I'm talking about with Jackie Jr. Like
I thought you were talking about the gladiator shit.
We get there, but like he'll call shots, no doubt. But he's not Richie. Like Richie, he gets his hands dirty. Like they're not the same people. If we want to make comparisons, I'm sure later down the road we can find a closer comparison with Richie. But like I hate when I
get it. I do. I'm sorry.
Well, when people say it, say that, you get it.
I get it, especially from an adversarial standpoint to Tony.
Like, okay, he serves the space.
Yeah,
but they're not alike.
They are though.
No, they not.
I don't think you ain't doing Ralphie to a lot of justice.
Nah, bro, they not alike.
Just got off
Ralphie's way more intelligent than
when we get done with this, I feel like a full comparison is needed.
Okay.
Do you feel my fault, Mo? Do you feel like the slightest, like when you say this, are you feeling like the slightest to Richie or is the slightest to Ralphie?
It's not. It's not
make that comparison.
It's not a slight to anyone. It's just people. It's like that when people do the top 5 rapper list, and then they all got to have like, oh, this is the undoubtable top 5, and it's like people go with the same thing, and it's like to me it's not a slight to anyone. Both of them are fire characters. It's just they're not the same. Their origin, their upbringing, everything about them, to me, they serve the same space as the adversary to Tony. We'll see that later with Ralph, but they are not the same. Like people be like they're the same on the other side, and they're not. Like I get they want to. The only thing they to me have in common, I don't even want to reveal it, but like a love interest. That's about as far as I'm gonna go with it. But a love interest is the only thing they got in common. But like they just put too much stake on it, and when I see it, I just be like, stop, bro.
I think it's just what you said earlier. I think it's the space. Like he definitely 100%, no question. He takes up the space that Richie left void. Mm-hmm. I think that's why those comparisons come.
Yeah, it's easy to do that.
He is a thorn in Tony's side, and we've known from the same way we knew off rip that Richie was going to be that way. We know that about Ralphie too.
Okay.
Like this episode, when we leave this episode, we know. You know what I'm saying? Hey, well, it reminds me. I hate to keep making crossover references. But in season 3 of The Wire, one of them niggas came in Stringer's office like, yo, Marlo is a problem. I think Bodie came in and told him like, yo, he is a problem, bro. Like, this is something we need to handle. That's how I feel about Ralphie. Ralphie is a problem.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, so Tony goes outside to have a meeting with Gigi, Albert, and Ralphie. And Tony says, hold on, I got to get this line. Because this is going to confirm what I said last season when y'all was like, nah, that's what they do. And even one of our listeners. So Tony says, all right, who gave the order to torch one of Albert's trucks? And then Albert says, one of the trucks. So he repeats what Tony says. This nigga dumb. He's dumb. I told y'all he's dumb. Like y'all was like, oh, that's what he's doing to be a douche.
He was being sarcastic.
No, he's dumb. He's a dumb.
I thought he was being sarcastic. I still thought he was being sarcastic. I thought he was being like, one of the trucks. This nigga fucked up my whole operation.
Nah, but
I took it as that too. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't think he's doing that like it is an intentional thing. I think he's just emphasizing it.
Nah, bro, he got a period. When we look at the subtitles, it's a period, not a question mark or exclamation. This guy is not all the way there, bro. He's a meathead because then he asks his orders from Ralph, and Ralph is not the boss. I mean, he's not a capo. So I'm telling you, I knew it when we watched it with him. Come on, with Richie, I was like, nah, I think dude ain't all the way there, bro. And this confirmed it. So I could not wait to get here and talk about it on there because I'm like, nah, this dude is little. He ain't all his elevator don't go all the way up, bro. Be honest. But I thought it was a hilarious line from Ralph when Ralph says, hey, you're capo when I make you a capo, and I'll turn the hearing aid up.
I don't miss it.
Just letting you know.
So I don't miss it.
He ain't fucking with Tony.
Yo, right? This is why I love Ralphie, because he's not like, he's such a rebel, bro. Like, don't get me wrong, he can get murked off, he can get whacked, but he's such a rebel, and I love this.
He makes so much money, he know like it ain't gonna be comfortable for a nigga to just take me out.
He's a real hustler, bro. He's a real hustler.
See what you're saying now. Albert said that Tony kind of looked at him like, nigga.
He said, this is not the time to speak out, Albert.
He said, quiet, Albert.
Because he know he gonna say something dumb. Go on.
Fuck something up.
Here's what I don't, and this might be some naivete on me.
Yeah.
That you brothers might be able to help me with. They in the same crew, but they blowing up each other's shit for the same contracts. Like, why is this not a everybody eats? I know we had the same thing with Richie as well when they had the meeting when he brought Jackie with him, and Albert was a part of that meeting also. I guess I never understood the landscape of how these garbage contracts work as far as how they get paid to the point where you would be blowing up a fellow like you two can meet at Tony Soprano's house and have that conversation. Why couldn't you have a conversation beforehand before it got out of hand?
Yeah. I think that Ralph, his issue is Ralph is ready to be capo. He makes more than Gigi. That's my interpretation. He makes more than Gigi. We're going to see throughout this season. He doesn't respect Gigi. He's the captain. Gigi took over Richie April's crew. But Ralphie's makes more money. I'm looking at Ralphie says the risk is worth it to him almost. I got other rackets. Like, I got other things working. I can blow up your trucks because really he's anxious. I'm ready to be capo. I should have been capo. So I feel like he knows he's making so much money. I should be captain. Maybe give me my own crew instead of being under Gigi because he don't respect Gigi at all. He don't respect Paulie later down the road because he know what time it is. So, I mean, Johnny Sack and some other characters talk about Ralphie and how much he really makes a bag when it comes to making money in the mob. So I think that his issue is like they're moving at a slower pace and he really don't like it. Now I don't know what the internal beef is, but I definitely think he's just anxious to be capo. That's he's willing to lose that money to make a point. You think otherwise?
I'm just trying to. I think that they got two different companies, right? The person who's the head of the crew to both of them in is gone, right?
No, Gigi is.
Gigi's not you ahead. He's not nothing yet.
So
Gigi hasn't gotten the news about anything.
But Junior said that somebody was Gigi was doing a good job. Okay.
So yeah, not to jump too far ahead. Gigi eventually is appointed, but as of right now, there is no lead of that crew.
Oh, okay.
Junior does in this episode say Richie took over Ralphie took over Richie's crew. He's doing a good job. He's a good earner. Yada yada yada.
And That's why I'm thinking the internal beef is coming because Richie, like you just said, Mo, I'm climbing the ladder. Like I don't even care if the contract's supposed to be yours. I got more power, I got more money, and I got a trash company too. I'm getting you out of here, which is where the turmoil come in because I think my boy is like, well, this ain't how it goes. Like I'm supposed to be next. We had our clergy system was tight. We had some structure and some order when Richie was here, and now all the structure and the order gone, and Ralphie just came and put his dick on the table. Like y'all finna have to just bow down. I think that's where the conflict comes from. There's no head of the snake over there.
Yeah, you know what? You may be right.
Things up for the grab. Yep.
Yeah, because that was the issue for Underboss, or the next coming boss after Jackie April, season 1, between Junior and Tony. So you're right.
Vacuum, power vacuum.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I like it. But there was Tony says no more fires. Wink, wink. For foreshadowing. For those that are already Soprano fans, I know what we're talking about. But for those that don't know, just strap on your seatbelt and just join the ride, man. It's gonna be a funny, interesting line because we're gonna hear it again in this episode. But yeah, the Sopranos at the funeral home. Janice doesn't want to look like this unloving, broke kids, and she wants to honor her mother. There's a lot of things. Tony says there's a lot of things I could say, but I'm not going to say right now. Bro, I almost fell out my seat laughing. Because this is not the moment. Because Tony said that before in season 2 when they were eating at the table. And he says that, like, I just want to honor my mother. Oh, there's a lot of things. So obviously she's done a lot of dishonorable things that doesn't fit the bill. But what did y'all get from this scene of them trying to set up something? Things escalate pretty fast from, originally just doing what did Tony want? The ashes and the urn situation. And then things kind of changed really quickly. What did y'all gather from this scene real quick?
Man, this we keep shouting out other shows that had similar stuff. This reminds me of the Ozark scene when my man was in there. His mom died, and my man was in there trying to sell him all the bullshit to the funeral. This dude right here keep referring to their mom as mom. He keep trying to be more endearing to get them to spend money, and then it works on Janice. And all of a sudden, like you said, we go from an urn to now we spending money, and this dude did it perfectly. He sold the shit out of their ass. And Janice is going through the motions, man. Like, again, she just gauging to see where the bread at. Like, where am I going to be able to strike? And this right here was one of the ones where she strike. Now she all upset. Now you got to have a funeral. Strong Janice scene. And the funeral director, strong scene from him too.
Yeah, man. Clear Godfather reference as well. When he goes see the guy at the funeral home about Sonny. Just the way the camera pans, the way the elevator stops, the door open, all of that. I'll use all my powers. That's all straight from the Godfather. Right, so I love Tony tell you, all right, don't go crazy. Like, relax. Relax. Talking about Livy. It ain't all that.
Doing all that.
Take it easy.
Yeah, man. Just that knowing of Tony, we know how he feels, but he actually opens out, ask out loud, is she here? Is mom here? Janice is pushing for his service. Barb starts making that look. Then you start getting into, not honoring people's wishes because they're not around anymore. Funerals are, well known. These are for the living, not for the ones who are passed. That's how we cope with things as the ones who are still on the earth. So they made a clear representation of that by not honoring her mom's wishes, which Carmela will talk about later, and trying to have this funeral because it makes them feel better about the loss because they don't know how to properly cope with the fact that their mother wasn't shit. It wasn't a good quote unquote mother to them.
Yeah.
So I love how Janice is saying all this won't fall on Tony when everybody knows that's nonsense. She offering up the money like she has it, like she's the one paying it. And just Tony, man, just classic Tony and Janice. I don't want any of that California bullshit. Like, this is what we're doing. That's it. Just getting coached in by family.
Yeah.
Says she wanted to draw a picture for the program.
Because she's always been known to have a gift.
Janice, wow.
Mexican Day of the Dead. Janice is insane, man.
But when they get outside, did y'all notice this? I don't know if it stood out to y'all, but it stood out to me. This episode seemed like it was shot differently. When they get outside and they're having that conversation, like you're talking about, oh, I'll draw this or I'll paint this or whatever. It seemed like it felt high definition, the color, the close-ups. Did this episode feel like it was shot different to y'all? because it felt like that to me. The more I kept watching it from this scene on, it felt like they were shooting this like almost like a miniature movie within it. But I don't know if do y'all agree, or do y'all feel like it was shot more clear? It just looks a lot more clear to me from a cinematography standpoint.
Than the other seasons?
Yeah, to me, yeah,
Yeah,
right here, this moment right here.
And shit, yeah, different. I think the camera's probably upgraded and shit like that, I'm sure.
Hmm.
But it does look more new, more HD quality, if that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
I see that.
Maybe that 250 grand is that's a part of the that's
Yeah,
part of that
could be.
joint.
I get what you're saying, exactly what you're saying.
I wonder how much those CGI dragons on Game of Thrones cost. That little shit right there was $250.
Oh man.
God, Jesus.
They was in the millions. They was on the millions.
Hands down.
bro.
But
It's been
what's the
bread.
recoup? That's my question. What's the recoup? Because y'all got to recoup to
Jeez.
keep doing it. Man, freaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't even get me started on Thrones.
You know, Thrones makes me. We'll talk.
I know. Y'all know how we do. Yeah, look,
Niggas on
somebody
the throne.
waiting. Please do Thrones. Y'all need to do
Niggas
Thrones.
on the throne.
Somebody.
Niggas on the throne.
Well, it's not happening. It's not going to be niggas on the throne.
I don't know why you fighting it, man.
Man, it's not. It's going to be. What did I say? What is it? The Night's Watch? No. What was it? The Black
Nigga watch.
Nigga, no, it wasn't Nigga Watch. It was was it the Black?
Niggas at the wall.
No,
Yeah,
it was
niggas at the
I'm trying to think one of the
Niggas in
locations. It was
Westeros.
Black.
Niggas in the north.
Black King's
A
Landing.
A lot of ways.
A
you can
nigga
go
has
to.
no face.
Niggas has no Black King's Landing. That's probably what it was. Black King's Landing. Something like that.
Winter's coming, nigga.
Winter's coming,
That
nigga.
would be it. Winter's
Like,
coming.
that's fun.
Nigga.
Winter's coming.
Oh
nigga.
shit.
That's crazy.
We gonna get you on it. We gonna get you
No,
on
I'm
board.
not. Y'all gonna have to cast somebody else because I am not. If you think I'm going, that's gonna be the title on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You are ridiculously crazy.
Hey, I'm weak, man.
Oh man, but nah. Did we get a Melfi scene last episode?
No, we didn't.
Okay, all right. So it feels fresh, and I gotta say the legs are back, baby. But Melfi does a great job at letting him talk. Yeah, I know y'all noticed that, and she's always being transparent at the fact that she didn't really rock with Livia. She was one of the first people, if the only, that was saying like maybe your mother was behind the hit, and I really respect what she was doing. Tony kept talking. She wasn't saying anything. He kept talking. She wasn't saying anything. What did y'all gather from this therapy scene? It's so good to see Lorraine Bracco here. Seriously, like you realize I miss this presence. A lot of people be like, man, we could have did without it, but not me. What should I get from this scene though?
I love how this is the one place. Therapy continues to be the one place where Tony gets everything real. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that he really needs versus what he wants or what's like supposed to be done always happens in the therapy office. Because Tony starts out by saying, "What? No condolences, no, I'm sorry."
No, nothing.
Because that's what he's expecting. He's used to that now. Everybody's been bullshit him saying all this because it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then he immediately realizes, like, well, fuck it. I'm glad you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm tired of all that. I'm tired pretty much of the fake love and yada, yada, yada. It's a relief, man, because he said he's glad she's dead. And he wished she died. And just use some other choice language for his mother. And it goes back to what I said earlier, or excuse me, what Spike said earlier, that first reaction, or Mo, you might have said it, my bad, but you're kidding. Like, that's how he truly feels. He's not upset. And he might be a little confused as to why he's not more upset about the way, like he should. I just lost my mom. I should be feeling differently than this, but I don't. And here's why I don't, because X, Y, and Z, and just gets it all out. And even tries to quit therapy again because he's like, she's dead. And he's relating to the fact that she's the root of all his problems, but it's really not. It's much deeper than him. It's within him. So yeah, man. And she mentioned too, children always wait, not just somebody who who mom wanted them dead, but when an aging parent starts to lose it a little bit, kids are kind of selfishly saying like, yo, when she dies, it's going to make my life a little easier. And Tony doesn't know how to wrap that around because he doesn't want to be a bad son, as he mentioned.
What say you, Spike?
I think he spoke to the relief that he had too. On everything Rich said, absolutely. But he spoke to the relief, and it goes to the personality that we know Tony has, but we like him as the anti-hero. His first thought was, oh, I'm relieved my mom isn't going to be able to testify against me now. That was the originally, you're kidding me.
Mhm.
Then he had to act like the grief and all of those things. So I think that him finally admitting that, I love the glimpses of his real personality that come out in these sessions, or just sometimes when he can't avoid or hide who he is when he's not acting fake or what he think people want him to be. I love, this is a very transparent scene by Tony Soprano.
Yes, it is. It's. I'm not trying to be Maurice Bell's bondsman, but like, it's a sad thing when we find out that he's a sociopath. For those that are new listeners, new watchers of the show, don't worry. We're not going to reveal anything more than that. Y'all find out on this road. It's a sad thing that he's a sociopath, but it just always, these moments make me wonder, like, how much of that could he have not been that? I don't know the research on sociopaths and psychopaths. Like, is it just a genetic thing? Is it a environmental thing? Is it I don't know the details of it, but it's a sad thing here that it's like, if his childhood was different, would he have been different? It's so much to it, because when I look at Janice and when I look at Tony, I just be like, because Barb, I think she was just too young, and by the time she was old enough, she probably was right out the house immediately. Versus them two, they got all of the kind of the bad years. You know what I'm saying? And I'm actually, Barb might have got older, and Johnny was already gone. So it's like them two got the bad end of the stick, so to speak, and it's like, dang, could he have not been it? So because his concern more is like, I just want to be a good son. He cares more about that than actually his mother dying. So I don't know. I did want to ask though, do y'all think that they were considering going away from the therapy sessions, since things were already rearranging story-wise with, Nancy Marchand passing away, and this moment he's like, so she's passed, that's it. Do y'all think that was a possibility ever, or y'all think that was going to always be on the table?
That's a good question. I think that was always on the table.
I think the therapy was always going to be. I think the show was about mental health and psychology first, and then it just happened to be about a mobster. I don't think they would have gotten away from that.
I think otherwise. I think because David Chase intended for this to be a movie in the initial for season 1. So the whole mobster and therapy, that was the kind of the twist, the bar, and him like wanting to murder his mom and all that, whatever. Like, originally it was going to be a movie, and then it became a series, and so on and so forth. To me, it almost seemed like they kept kind of teetering with the idea, maybe we go away from it, maybe it serves this, but we'll move away from it. And I'm glad they stayed with it. But I don't know because later down the road, there was times where I've heard things where they wanted to end it after season 4. They say, okay, after season 5, we're ending it. So they had these moments of they wanted to end the whole series, like this is it, at moments. And we'll get more information. I mean, we got great guys on this team right here, but I don't know. It seemed like here they were kind of considering that, but maybe it was never on the table. I don't know. But nonetheless, it is what it is. We get a quick scene. Ray Curto, one of the mob guys, he's meeting with feds, and he's asked, do you want to wear a wire? And the cop is like, yeah, sure, why not? We know that he got locked up with Makazian in season 1, so he was there at the brothel when they were getting their joints copped, where Tony used to frequent. So that's a great callback to season 1 when he got arrested, and we find out, oh, he was a rat. That's the whole reason he even got out of that whole situation. I don't know if y'all want any more from that situation. Okay, all right. Janice,
how willing he is to give up information compared to P, like stringing it along. Like he couldn't wait. You want me to wear a wire?
He the cop like, yeah, why not? Janice is in the basement of Olivia's house, and Tony's coming through, and he's checking in, and they're having a little family moment. I really enjoyed this. Tony puts her in a headlock and gives her a noogie. Hey, dog. What did y'all get from this scene and like kind of the memorabilia that they're showcasing in this moment?
First of all, back to Janice the scammer, trying to find a dead spot in the wall with the hammer and the glass to see if his money behind the wall isn't fucking insane. And it shows to, I think she thinks something down there. That's why she want to stay in that house and really have time to really dig in. But yeah, well, it shows, and we saw this last season in the Richie scene. Like, it shows the relationship that Tony and her have. They go back and forth. They really get at each other, but those two have a bond. Being like you said, Mo, that they were the two in the house dealing with Livia. They kind of bond over that. They don't really never know how to express it. There's a few scenes throughout the series, but we get this from her and Tony, again, the one with Richie right here a couple later. But I think it does a really good job of showing the connection that they have based off how bad their mom treated them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you, Rich?
No, that's well said, man. That Janice glass of the wall is wild. Tony teasing Jan, or not, yeah, Janice, excuse me. There was a subtle moment where he mentioned that, he said my therapist, but we know he's talking about Melfi, told him that not all women are cut out to be mothers. And she said, was that a dig at her? And he said no. And then he mentions that, if dad was in the Cirque du Soleil or something like that, then I could have been like Hal. And the irony of it is Janice completely disregards it and goes straight into another conversation. Like, she's not even present enough to talk about have a conversation about her son. And it goes right into, like, am I a good mother? Is that a shot at me? But you're not even willing to have it. So I just love that duality that they showed us right there. But also, I think this episode was the only time and the only few moments, because they didn't even spend the whole episode doing it, but kind of giving us a little background. Mo, you mentioned it earlier. We didn't get enough about the reason we love Tony Soprano, or at least can understand him, is because we are given those moments about what made him the way he is. We don't know anything about that about Olivia. You know what I mean? So this moment, us realizing that she saved Tony's stuff. I love the callback to the varsity letter. We all know what the making of a varsity athletes means in the Sopranos world, but barely has any of Barb and Janice, but has all of Tony's stuff. It kind of gives us one of those moments where, damn, did they really know each other? And also the reality of it's too late to even find out. So they do a good job of showing us a little bit more of Livia, but it doesn't matter because she's not coming back. So now we finally get to the other side, and it's a little too late. So I took that away from this scene in particular.
Wow, that's a great pull. I always me and my sister laugh about roll bounce where Bow Wow is beating up the car. She's not coming back, Dad. She's not coming back. Like we use that all the time. So this is kind of one of those moments she's not coming back. But it is a very interesting thing that you're saying, that like she kept some of Barbara's stuff, kept Tony's stuff, but there's nothing with Janice. And that speaks to season 2 when Janice was taking her out of the hospital, how she was telling the nurse about what Janice had done when she was young. And then also Junior talking about watch my little niece. So it speaks to Janice always having some kind of finesse happening. But what makes something interesting to me is, like, if it was the other way around, if Janice had already passed and Johnny Boy was still alive, I almost feel like Johnny Boy possibly would have kept some of her stuff. I feel like she was closer with him based on the Down Neck episode, the flashback. Even though he was utilizing her to kind of get some rackets off, but I feel like if it was Johnny Boy, maybe there would have been a little bit more memorabilia. But very great scene. I do like, before we move on, I do like the little noogie moment that he's doing with her, even though she's big sis. He does that. I love when Tony is childish, like he was in season 1 on Boca, when he was tickling Carmela, trying to get the information about Uncle Junior Gibbs' head. That, and then even later when he does like this little prank on Carmela. I love when he's childish. Like, he don't get a lot of that, especially being a mob boss. So I really, really, really enjoyed that. Next scene, we get Livia's funeral, and we get a shot of young Nancy. She had it kind of going on back then. I thought it was a pretty good shot of her. Like, I could see her, being big time back then. I thought it was a good shot. But we get a lot of different people showing up. We're getting a great ensemble on this scene. It's a lot of things to cover here. So I want to see some things that stood out to y'all in regards to this Livia funeral. I'll start with you, Spike.
My nigga Seal was mad about missing the Jets game.
Bro.
That was funny. Bro. I think this was furthering the point of everybody just going through the motions, because this is what they think you're supposed to do when someone's passed. I mean, that's the social contract that we've all signed. These are things that happen at funerals. So everybody is halfway tuned in, halfway going through the motions. and it's
halfway is a
collection.
reach.
Right, maybe 25%, maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just think it shows like everything that how little respect they had for the ceremony and the situation that was going on. Nobody really gave a fuck.
nobody cared. You're right. What about you, Rich?
Same. Like I mentioned it earlier, just everybody doing what they have to do. We get the Jackie Jr. snub. That's an example of that. He comes in, says sorry, keeps it moving. Obviously, Rosalie has to, cape for him and let him know, like, oh, he's disrespectful. I'm going to handle it, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, still going off about the Jets game with football season rolling up. That's something I can definitely relate to. Like, man, I can't believe I got to go to this bullshit because instead of watching my team, Chris Furio and A taking bong rips and doing lines, flowers from the feds.
Anything
flowers from the feds. They never would send Tony flowers, but we see it earlier. Tony sends them the gift baskets on Christmas because it's an occasion. They do it on the funerals because it's an occasion. Yeah, we chasing you, but there's some humanity to this. That social contract, as Spike just mentioned. So you see more of that. Junior coming in, I thought that was a great moment, obviously. And we get a little foreshadowing when Bobby said his dad is very ill as well. That's something we're going to get to see a little bit in a few episodes. And then also, one important moment is you have Tony talking to the assemblyman and also the reverend. You have one brother who's black and one brother who's Jewish. And you got Meadow looking over like, you motherfucker.
Great
hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of you.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, I brought this guy to our crib, but here you are shaking hands, smiling, playing the role with these two dudes when that's the same. These are the same two people combined that you have an issue with Noah.
Kiki and Hi.
Yeah, man, and that's how funerals are. Like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. It's gonna roll into the repast as well, but nobody's really there. At some point, you just kind of make your own jokes, get your own drinks. What time can we get up out of here?
Yeah,
look at how Mosey
out. Obviously, Junior we've seen this with Junior. His fascination, I guess, at this point with death and knowing that he's closer to it than obviously the beginning. And just, they're dropping like fucking flies. He can't get over that because he knows that soon it's going to be him and he's next. Tony fucking with him, talking about the charcoal broiled meat.
Bro, I got to talk about that.
Yeah, man. He needs to talk to Carm, kind of setting everything straight. And also Junior asking AJ how the surfboard that he got him. If y'all remember in season 1, Junior made a comment about buying a kid a surfboard that was $400. Yeah. So all of that stuff tying back up, just incredible writing.
I thought he was talking about Chris in that though. When he's season 1, I thought he was talking about Christopher.
No, he's talking about AJ.
Oh, I guess I thought
AJ had it was something going on with AJ. That's the reason why Olivia was making the ZD. Remember,
he was
ZD?
Right, because
I think it was his birthday or something.
He was talking to Mikey Palmisi and he was like, man, I'm telling you what we should do is like, hey, we're not shooting a Western. And then, he's like, I bought this kid. Yeah, you're right. I thought it was Dev. I thought it was funny. Like you said, the Junior, like Tony tells Junior, it's all about, I told y'all about charcoal broiled meat. He said, y'all ate that back in the day. He said, nobody told us to the 80s. Bro, charbroiled meat directly on charcoal. Bro, I was crying when I see this. Who puts ribs on the charcoal? Oh man, I can't believe y'all still alive. That's the first thing. Secondly, Uncle Junior, he steps up and he speaks to Carmela, which I respected this to the highest. And she says, "I'll behave how Tony wants. I don't want to add to the stress. If only we seen more of this from women today." That's all I wanted to say. Like, man, I wish
Mo, you going there, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I just wish we would have, come on. Y'all act like y'all agree. That's all right. I see. Y'all hit me in the text. That's all right. I got y'all.
Go ahead on and cook.
Look, y'all going to leave me out there on the island of all.
Absolutely.
Man, we a glorified crew. Is it just me now? Like,
my nigga Mo just went there. He said, fuck it.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I mean, seriously. I mean, come on, though. Like I respect that because in the other side, if it was the woman and if she lost somebody, I'm going to be whatever you need me to be. I'm going to act exactly how you want me to act in the meantime. So it's real.
I did have one small. No, I feel what you're saying. I don't know if I'd have said the quiet part out loud. But
all right, man. Go ahead.
I did have one question though, just a minor question.
Yeah.
What did y'all think about Furio doing lines and hanging out with Chris like that? Because we
way too close to Adriana, first of all. Like,
Oh, speaking of too
way
close.
too
Oh, well, hold on. Well,
close.
yeah, that was
Way too close.
I don't know. That was kind of a. I mean, I guess what I believe is they're probably Furio, either he might have seen it in American culture, American TV or something, or maybe he was doing that back then because remember when Chris was on Commendatory, when he immediately recognized one of Furio's guys had the holes on his arm because he was doing, doing heroin. So I don't know if that's how they give it up over there in Italy at this time as far as the mob culture goes. So maybe Furio was already familiar with that, or it was American culture. I don't know. That was definitely, you're right. It was definitely thrown me off.
I think he's familiar. I think he
Familiar.
getting loose. He getting accustomed to everything over here. He knew about it over there. He just had to find his way, get in with people and shit. Now he done found his crowd.
Okay.
Doing lines, smoking weed, making jokes about Survivor. You know what I'm saying? He's just getting acclimated.
Okay. I did want to ask y'all.
Good point.
Richie,
I only brought that up. My fault, Mo. I only brought that up because we were introduced to Furio as this like he about his business. He didn't strike me as the type that was on that. So yeah. So that's why it's crossed my mind. But my bad, Mo. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say we get a scene where Carmela is talking to Ralph, and it makes me think about season 4, how Ralph told Tony how lucky he was to have a woman like Carmela.
Don't never say that to your niggas, y'all. If you out there listening, don't ever say that to your man.
Yeah. Don't say that. Like that's not the move. Like, boy, you lucky.
Women don't ever say that to your girls. None of that shit. Just
like, yo, that's an ad in itself.
Yeah, man. Don't do it.
Don't ever say like you're lucky to. Like that is the dirty macking preseason.
Dirty
Mac. That's dirty macking preseason. Junior pinches AJ's face. Boy, I hated that. Like when people used to do that to me, like or in the noogie, like I started, man. Anyways, and Junior right here we get that what Rich was referring to earlier. Junior says that Ralph should become capo because he brings in funds. When Richie died. Anything else y'all get from this funeral scene?
I think that this scene between Junior and Tony is the reason why Richie didn't get what he wanted. Like you were disregarding that. I'm on because Junior even says it. I'm the boss of this family. So we thought we put all that to bed, but Junior says, "I believe I'm the boss." But no, I'm on the street. I'm making the decisions, which is what Tony tells him. And if you're looking at Richie, you already a pain in my ass. You just got back, and you're going behind my back talking to Junior so you can get me bumped up. Like you should want to get bumped up off your own merit.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? Just because of that, because we all know Tony an asshole.
Yeah,
you got to sit on the bench, even if you did deserve it. Doing that made me realize I can't necessarily trust you like I need to because now that you got a higher position, you're gonna make even more connections. We see down the line that he's cool with Johnny Sacks. He's cool with other people. So if shit go left, how do I know you're not going to them on the same shit?
And that ever lingering thing that we get from Junior towards Tony, like you don't have the makings of a varsity athlete when he tells him like anybody doing bets now, like you got Chinese and women doing football bets. Anybody could be making the money that you making right now. Just taking a jab at the job that Tony's doing as boss. It's like because he never thinks that Tony's doing good enough.
Junior got to stop like, oh, I'm the ball. Like, no, you're not like when Silvio said it in the finale. What was it? I Dream of Jeannie Cusimano. Like in season 1, he says no. He's about to be boss in name and everything. You're not boss, Junior. Like, stop. Like they charge you as boss, but you're not boss anymore. They're not bugging Junior's house. They're bugging Tony. You're not boss.
Well, they already caught Junior. That's why.
That's what I'm saying. So stop saying I'm the boss of this. No, you're not. That's why Tony let him have it because you ain't got nothing. Like you are a loser. Like you have nothing, bro. I can't believe he's still saying that to Tony. That's ridiculous.
That's all he has. That's all he has, man. That's why he doesn't even want to give Tony even an ounce of credit when he's just on some. This economy is so robust. You can't even take part in that. So
yeah,
he looks at Tony Soprano. He looks at Tony Soprano as somebody who was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple.
Yep.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Me and your dad are the ones that put in the work for you to even be in this position. So why are you, you know what I mean? I'm the boss. Like I laid all this out. And that's never, no matter what generation, no matter what year, that's always going to be something that's around. It's got to take an OG to be willing to step aside, not even to get into real life, but you look at senators and it was freezing up. Like it takes somebody who's self-aware enough to realize I need to step aside so the younger generation or whoever's next can get in line and make this better for the whole versus me just wanting to keep my title. That's Junior is like that right now. We talked about it in the group chat. That's who he is. It's time to step aside, bro. Get rid of this dream that you're the man. You had your day.
He was a part of that thing. That's nice. That's nice. Ralph, Albert, and Eugene, they catch up with the guy they was talking about earlier. And pretty much they whip this guy up crazy. And Ralph, again, he's making captain type moves without getting his hands dirty. And we get the zoom in, which again, to me, speaks to the camera work here. This episode, they did a lot of zoom in on the faces. Like it's very intentional here. And he says, hey, remember, no fires, which again, I think is such great foreshadowing of what a possibility could be later down the road in this series. But did y'all get anything else with this scene with Ralph, Albert, and Eugene whipping up this guy?
Just that Ralph was going to be a problem.
Ralph was a problem.
But didn't Tony tell him to get it handled, though? At the end of that meeting in his pool?
No fires. That's not what he meant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was not implying go beat the nigga with bats.
He's telling them to work this out so we can stop all the violence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony, he's watching the movie again. And we see basically the brother, like he dies in the street. And that's kind of pretty much it on the movie thing. Y'all want to just keep moving here, or I mean, I don't know what else you want to get from that movie.
Yeah, there's nothing about the movie there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We go to the grave site, and the preacher's going through the thing. We got beloved mother, a heart full of flowers, and they put Livia down finally. And Meadow looks at Tony. She's still very much mad. And Janice tries to finesse Svetlana for the house and the records. She did it try to be so subtle, but it's hilarious. Anything I get from this grave site scene right here? It's weird. They do this like
gangster though.
Separate day. Okay.
I like how gangster Svetlana. I can't pronounce her name.
Svetlana,
right, I like how she ain't even really studying Janice, and like we see why later. And the way she connected and tied to but it was just I think Janice thought she was gonna be able to boss her around a little bit more, and my girl was like, man, get the fuck out of my face.
Oh, you got the wrong one.
Yeah, you picked the wrong one today, bitch.
Boy.
Janice got that condescending voice, like, so if you can just like Lumberg off of office,
get out of the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if you can just get that cleared up, that'd be great. Like, nah, man, you got me fucked up. Your mama gave me the record, so I don't want to disobey her wishes. Tony said that I'm good. I can stay here. Like, I don't know who you thought you was talking to. I don't know. You must have thought I was just your mom's housekeeper, but I'm a whole G out here too.
Yeah, I like it.
So I love what we get to see in the future between these two characters.
Well, I like it.
She
I
said,
like
we're not going to be
Svetlana.
needing your service anymore, so you can just get out of the house by this weekend.
I mean, it kind of makes sense though. We don't need your service. Like that is kind of.
It does if she hadn't discussed it with Tony, and Tony was like,
exactly.
You need somewhere to stay. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah.
Exactly.
This will make Janice gangster too, though.
It do.
Light press.
And petty.
Light presses.
And the pettiness too. Artie thinks of his last memory of Livia from season 1, blowing up the restaurant. And then we flash back.
Did we know that she told him that? We knew that, right?
Yeah. That whole scene was a real scene.
Yeah, it was a whole scene.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, we didn't need that.
You see what I'm saying? Like, but again, I'm trying to shoot bail because it's 2001. So it's like at that time, TV was still, even though David Chase was going against the grain and the format, there's certain things that were still a part of the format. So I'll shoot bail for this. We didn't need it because we remembered it. But again, people were watching this and it wasn't we watching it back to back. It's every Sunday until it's a break. So it's a lot to have to remember when you're not watching like us. We have it on streaming services. We can watch a whole season in a week if we want to. But back then, it's like you watch a season in 13 weeks, and then you got a however long break, maybe the next year, and you pick it back up again. So I do understand. In that time, yeah, we're going to just kind of remind you without putting a whole lot of like last time on Sopranos. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at it. We didn't need it in this year, 2023, but I'm not mad at it. But we get that flashback and, the whole thing, you're not mad at Tony and stuff like that. And it's very ironic because that's his last memory of her, and then everybody kind of goes into low key their last memory of her. But I wanted to ask, there's a lot of moments that happen in this repass scene. I'm gonna throw the ball in your court first, Rich. What are some things that stood out to you?
Our favorite character, Hesh.
He's holding court.
Holding court, telling jokes. Now here's the thing, right? I don't even know if I'm upset about you telling jokes on my mama's repass, right? Don't tell jokes and then be quiet when I come through.
Yeah,
that's what will piss me off.
Crazy when I walk.
If we gonna joke, let's joke, right?
Facts.
Don't make it some weird thing, and now that I'm around, y'all can't be y'all. That's what people hate when they grieve and they're going through something. Like, that's why I ain't want to say shit. You can't hide death, but in personal life, people don't say what they going through because they don't want people looking at them or treating them that way. Oh, this nigga coming around, he going through something, so he can't laugh, he can't joke, he can't do this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit more insulting than actually having the indecency to be cracking jokes. My mom shit anyway. And the joke was related to my. He might not have said it about her.
Talking about his mom, like it's a
right. He never said it directly, but it's definitely true about her. So that whole thing was upsetting. We see Meadow in her own. She's kind of playing that role, and man in the room, doing the politics of everything. Once again, just like Tony in that sense. Rosalie's even cracking jokes as well throughout some point. Furio's talking about Survivor and shit. Putting the strap in their face for $250.
Bro, I would have loved to have seen an episode where him and Paulie try to roll up on a nigga that won Survivor and get the money.
That'd have been incredible.
That's so funny, bro.
But it's a typical repass, man. I got all these people in my crib that I don't want to have my crib. There's no other chance in hell that 98% of these people would ever be in my living room. It wasn't from Olivia passing. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't even have this shit to begin with. Like, it's just all of that. But this is what happens when you go through a death or you grieving someone. They really nailed this top to bottom as far as just the little effects that you go through.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Spike? What you get from these different moments of the scene?
I literally rolled my eyes when Janet started talking and did the whole everybody let's say something, because we did get an incredible scene by it, but I just think about if that happened in person, how like cringe I would be, and I would almost leave, like try to sneak out before I sit in the circle and was able to share with it. It just seems so cringe. But I do like how she threw the music shit in there. She got this fresh on everybody's mind. I feel like that this got something to do with the records and shit that she was just talking to with the Russian as well. Did y'all see the dude come down the steps behind Tony?
Yeah, that's like one of those classic.
Yeah, that shit.
People always talk about that. Yeah, that's a thing in the Soprano verse. People talk about it all the time. Like, who was that? Like, what was? Yeah, that's the thing.
That was crazy.
He saw that they was talking about Olivia, said, "Fuck this, I'm going back upstairs."
Right, man, we get out of here. Man. I'm going back.
He was the only one.
But yeah, I think Janice. This was a really strong. This is probably the best scene that Carmella dad had, other than the dinner table scene a little bit later on.
Oh yeah.
Are we talking about the actual? Are we talking about the actual remembrance part of the episode?
Yeah, the whole
remembrance now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole joint.
I was surprised that Hesh didn't have nothing to say. I was surprised that he's always like a silver tongue, know what to say, get you some bullshit off. It shows how much of a bad mark that Livia left on everybody. Nobody could come up with nothing off the top of their head.
I mean, Hesh said something that just wasn't like great, but he was just like, basically, she always said what she meant. Like, that's
man. Fanny said the most. Her best friend Fanny, she said the most, and even that wasn't a lot. And that's shout out to Fanny. She still ain't recovered from getting hit by that car.
I was about to ask, was that the lady that she ran over, bro?
That's her. I can't believe she even showed up.
Yeah, that's still her, man. So, she even what she mentioned, like if somebody was in a hospital or died, I know I can hear from Livia.
She always called and told me.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't even anything that endearing. It was just more so, right. I don't know. Who knows, man? Livia might have just been on that because I hit you with my shit.
Old people do that, though.
Yeah,
for sure. I think you talked about it in season 1. They just, that's what they do. They read the obituary every day and see who passed. Junior did that this episode. They're dropping like flies. Like, they obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I love the faces, though. I like how they let the tension sit in the room and keep flashing from different people, all the head scratching. Oh, what should I say? It was really good in setting the tone. And then You had the tea kettle pot just start whistling when Carmella dad was finally like, man, fuck this shit.
All right, Bush.
I'm
Like,
glad
dude,
Carmella. I'm happy for Carmella. This is one of my favorite Carmella moments. Her stepping up and just being real.
Yeah, she
about
did. She kept her
everything.
stoop. This
Yeah,
Carmella's
for sure.
space. This is Carmella's
I would have
space.
been kind of hot though if I was Tony. Like if my mom died, like you doing a little too much with the grandstand. And I would have let her dad get it off. But Carmella, I feel like, as Mo was saying earlier, I just need you kind of be like the shoulder for me to cry on there. My mom died. I don't need you making this big declaration that she wasn't shit. Like we know that, but so
yeah,
I can feel that.
Yeah, I feel like Carmella was like, and I don't know if it was how Edie Falco played it, but I feel like this scene, Carmella, it feels like this moment because we're supposed to believe like, because we kind of keep getting these pans of like her drinking some bourbon, you know, or maybe scotch, but like we keep getting these moments. And so when she finally steps up, it's like, all right, like, look, this is a woman that didn't want a funeral. So she steps up and speaks up and she's right. But it seems like she kind of basks in the glory a little bit. This is how I feel, like how I looked at it. Like she's happy, like Carmella, not happy that she's dead necessarily, more so I'm happy that I'm about to be, everybody, eyes are on me and I'm right now. Because she has a lot of moments I feel like that she was wrong, made some bad decisions. So I feel like, and she kind of like smiles about it. This is a woman that didn't want a funeral. Like she feels like, and everybody's focused in on her and she's right. And I feel like she kind of basks in the glory of that. But I mean, I love this scene. I thought, you know, Meadow, they said Meadow's becoming a robot. So Spike Lee was right about last episode. He said that basically the mob guys supposed to be robots and not feel anything. So I gotta walk back what I said last week because Meadow's becoming a robot. So that's what they supposed to be.
What kind of shit was Christopher on?
Huh?
Chris. That was some high shit.
Bro, I have been there. When I seen that, I have, bro, I cannot tell you when I used to indulge in that way. Early, I would be with my cousins. We'd be in a car freestyling. And then after we freestyle, we get on some like deep metaphorical.
You just hit him with, is dinosaurs real or some shit?
Bro, like it'd probably be like some like memory type, like whatever it is, but it's like some nostalgia. And then like, man, that's crazy. And then just like have a moment of a long pause. And then come back and be like, yeah, so you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that was on point.
Adriana got to give him the decency tap or something like that.
Oh yeah,
she was hot. She was on it too. They both on the couch. They was laid up on the couch like they was watching a movie. Like
they was
nobody was in there,
stuck.
But right,
they were stuck,
holding hands. That's stuck.
Bro.
Go ahead, Mo.
That is when you are high out of your mind. You're stuck. They were there when everybody was elsewhere. Yeah. They had been there for a grip. And don't get me wrong, Chris was actually making sense until you snap out of the high and realize people are focused on what you're saying. And I think that's where he started stumbling. Like he realized, wait,
the looks he was getting was hilarious, bro.
Bro, anyway.
Jesus, man.
But I thought that was funny.
It reminds me of the Intervention a little bit. Like
it kind of does. It definitely has that vibe to it. Janice calls Paulie out. She said, hey, everybody come to the thing. Hey, Paulie, you too. You can join us. And remember season 2, when she first came on the scene, she was like, Paulie Gaultieri is still alive. I'm like, what is her issue with Paulie? Is this funny? Like, it's probably like they never tell us, but like this is funny thing with her issue with Paulie.
Underlying shit.
Yeah, so Artie is pissed.
Creep when she was young.
Probably so.
Her daddy age, yeah. So
you remember when we had those country 15-year-old like, yeah, anyway, that's a late remember when episode. Y'all get there. But Hardy is pissed for whatever reason. You know, he going back to the memory of what she said last. It kind of brought everything back. And he dumps the trash, but he let it marinate. And they say, hey, yo, there's dessert in the kitchen. And our last scene, Tony watches the movie again. And then Tony finally begins to cry. My last thing before we get out of here on our rankings, what do you believe that is the reason Tony was crying in that last scene?
The dude, mom, was showing love. The mom finally came back, and this was grief finally set in. Like they all say, we all grieve in different ways. Mm-hmm. The lady was excited that her son was getting out of the hospital because you had seen him get shot in the other scene. And now he's coming home. She preparing the bed for him, and she was just happy that her son was coming back. And I'm kind of thinking that he wishes he had that type of mom, and that made him sad.
That's exactly what I was going to write down, and I was also going to go into the point of this episode. I've said it before; they've done a great job about the realism of it. I mentioned in the past, I've lost a parent, so there's that moment when all of the distractions, for lack of better terms, are gone. You don't have people checking in on you, asking if you're okay, did you eat, are you hungry, can I do this, can I do that? Because it gets a little, as this episode shows, it gets a little bit annoying. Because you do just want some space to process your own thoughts and your own feelings, and you don't have it because everybody's always in your shit. Every time Tony comes home this episode, somebody's there with their condolences. So it's kind of like that end of the night, end of the day, all this shit is over with. Now I'm finally getting my own space to process all of this information. And damn, I lost my mom. Like, regardless of how fucked up it was, regardless of what I think about her, that acceptance piece of it is always the first part. Like, it kind of seems unreal at first, and then it settles in. Like, damn, she really is gone. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with y'all. I think I agree with Spike. It's like it set in. It's like, again, I'll say it a million times. You're gonna hear this over and over. Like the yearning for something else, and it's like I wish that I had that, and now I don't even have time for it. Maybe she'll change her mind. Maybe she'll get better. Maybe one day it's over. This is it. So that is its coping mechanism in a weird way. So,
last ad, man, any big events you got coming up, man, make sure you check out Vesuvio's. They have a brand new pastry chef. He gets you where you need to be. He provided all of the refreshments for the Soprano Wake. It's Bobby Vasquez. So make you go check out Vesuvio's with the new pastry chef, Bobby Vasquez.
Man, they dessert is fire over there, man. I had it and it was wonderful. Definitely got to check it out. But before we get out of here, and y'all know we good for the ads, we good for the review, but we can't leave out of here without the rankings. First and foremost, before we get out of here, Spike Lou, on this episode, how do you rank it?
Just another envelope.
Okay. Wow. Why?
Like you said, the last four being kind of TV-ish, different style from what we're used to in the Sopranos world, just so they could get all of that stuff out of the way. This was kind of like with the rewind scene in the beginning. The Noah shit was kind of random, and then Livia died, so we focus on that the rest of the episode. It was kind of all over the place, but I understand it that they had to wrap up some loose ends and really get to the meat of what we get next weekend. So for me, it's just another envelope.
What say you, Rich?
I gave it a good earner, mainly because of the transition of Nancy, Marshawn, and her character, and Livia. Like you said earlier, she is a character we love to hate. But man, she plays such a big role into this early foundation of Tony Soprano. The send-off for her, and knowing we're not going to get her again, I did bump it up a little bit, even if on the surface, this might just be another, just another envelope overall. But it did deal with a lot of good stuff, and kind of tied it all into one. So I'm going to give it a good earner because of that.
I'm going to give it, this is a made episode. It's a made episode because this episode is literally the nucleus, the origin of the Sopranos we know today. I have spoke about this before off air with people, and this episode changed the idea of what Sopranos became. We go back to the pilot last episode, and it was like cartoony. It's like, okay, the storyline, where they were going. Rest in peace to Nancy Marchand. It changes the trajectory. This episode gave us an ensemble. We talk about The Wire being one of the shows that's known for an ensemble, not necessarily a main character, even though here we got a main character. But like when we're introduced to so many people, and now it's an ensemble cast, even though it's still Tony's show. So we get so much variety and flavors and textures from the, AJ moment to Meadow moment to Gigi to Ralph to Ray Curto to Livia to Carm. We get so many moments. This episode is literally the origin that flipped the whole, I feel like it flipped the whole Sopranos trajectory around to me. It changed where this show was going. I believe and don't take this the wrong way, but I believe if she was still alive, the show would have been legendary regardless, but I don't think it would have been what it's known today as. And this episode is, to me, I always look at this, I almost feel like take away Mr. Ruggiero's Neighborhood. This could have been the pilot. And we might even be having a different conversation about what we rank season 3. So I got to give it a made just for it changed the trajectory of where this show goes and what we know Sopranos as this moment. Spike, who gets? I
was gonna say I can kind of agree with you on that. It is definitely a different show after the character Olivia's gone. I forgot. I won't do it this episode. Remind me next episode, or for everybody listening at the beginning, we'll discuss about how Nancy Marchand's death affected season 3 and the trajectory and what the original storyline was supposed to be versus what we get, so on and so forth. But all right, I'm all trying to sell it.
Hey, all know, I'm telling you, man, seriously. Because this is definitely better than the last episode. That's why I can't put it in another envelope. That last episode was not it. But Spike, who gets the Good Earner Award of this episode?
Carmela Soprano. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the speech in the end, I think it was a little distasteful. It's her house, like she said. It's her house. This bitch been putting us through shit for years. Now she gone, and I'm tired of y'all faking. Also, with the situation with Meadow, just knowing when to step in there, she just played the ultimate sidekick or like the person that you could lean on. It felt like for Tony in this situation. Very rare. I'm gonna give Carmela a W.
Yeah, but she gonna get some dubs. But I could appreciate that from you, Spike. What about you, Rich?
I'll be damned, man. Spike took my answer. That's what I had down.
Wow. For what reason for you?
Down. She mastered everything gracefully, didn't cause any kind of issues. If you are someone who appreciated her speech, she probably added more bonus points. We joked earlier about saying the quiet part out loud. There's a little bit of etiquette and I think a little bit of grace that can be handled with that. That's still my mom's. But outside of that, she did everything correctly to the T, as you would expect someone who is the wife of a powerful, that's just a normal human thing to do. But especially somebody who's got a million other things on top of their head. Got to give it to Carmela.
I had somebody, but I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Carmela, though. She wasn't the one, but she did a great job in this episode. It's like between Janice and Ralph. I'm gonna go Ralph, man. It might be some bias there, but I'm gonna go Ralph because he got to get that off on during Tony's sentimental moment. He's still like, and I'm gonna turn that hearing aid up when I hear it. Like getting that off. Like, don't get cute with me. He's still like, and he still got it off with like how he was dealing with, I can't remember the guy's name. I didn't take it in my notes, but like how he handled that situation without the fires or whatever, and he still was making plays like a boss or whatnot. That was a good play. Lastly, Spike Lou, who gets the Broken Balls Award in your opinion?
The Broken Balls Award in this episode definitely goes to Noah Tannenbaum. I think that was his last name.
Yeah, Noah Tannenbaum.
Noah Tannenbaum, man. He's in the industry, as he said. What did he say? He's in the business.
His father's an entertainment lawyer. Yeah.
They got their start in Tarzan movies. Like he just my man just took a beating for no reason. He just wanted to watch a film with his classmate, bro. So yeah, Noah Tannenbaum definitely took an L.
What about you, Rich?
I promise we don't share notes, y'all. I promise we don't share notes.
Yeah.
I promise you. I know we got the long-standing joke that, Spike and Rich the same person, but Noah Tannenbaum is he gets the Broken Balls Award. It just is what it is. You can't get around it.
Yeah.
Even if I tried to get creative and pick somebody second, it was Noah's so above the head of everybody else.
Yeah,
the Tarzan movies are just not catching on that in real time. And plus, being told to your face, charcoal baguette, a moulin, like, come on, bro. You gonna keep going down the list?
That's crazy, dog.
Fuck you. See, now that's what I'm trying to prevent.
That's what I'm trying to avoid. Like, yeah.
Get it.
Oh, man. I'm gonna go AJ, man. AJ he has no idea. Like, this man guessed Thanksgiving when she brought up horses with bells. And he said Thanksgiving. Literally a month later is Christmas. And you thought it's crazy. That, and then just like you're watching skateboarding with your uncles that are in the mob and they cut it off. You like, AJ just is something else, man. To me, he took a big as L. Meadow even left him to the crib by himself. Like, it's just like nobody, he's not a factor. So I'll definitely say AJ for this episode. And lastly, before we get out of here, Spike Lou, what is your favorite moment from this episode?
When they all standing around talking about Livia and Carmela's dad gives a speech.
What do they call it? The repass?
Yeah, the repass. And he just finally was like, "Ma, fuck that."
Yeah.
And just goes in. I like that part. It's one of my best, well, probably the best scene from Carmela's dad.
I like it. All right, what about you, Rich?
I had that list. I had that down as well, but I'm not gonna go with it. I'm going to go with. I feel like the Noah scene is too easy. I really had what Spike said, but I'm trying not to go 3 for 3, so I'm trying to think of my next favorite one.
Why don't you turn your hearing aid up?
I'm probably gonna go with the Dr. Melfi scene.
Okay.
There's something that I always can appreciate about, like I said, in an episode full of bullshit and people following social norms and not doing what they naturally would want to do, it felt good to have that truth sprinkled in the episode. In a space where you can't escape it, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you tell yourself, what lie you tell yourself to feel better, the truth is going to have to come out in this room. So I appreciate that moment and everything that came from it, because it does set up a lot that we're going to see for the rest of this season. Now that Livia's gone, there's going to be new obstacles, just the whole, I don't need to come here anymore. Actually, my nigga, you do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my favorite moment is the shot they took with Svetlana. When we get the name of the episode, Proshai Livushka, which is Goodbye Little Livia. I thought it was just breaking the fourth wall moment. It's literally rest in peace to Nancy Marchand and also the character Livia. And it was so left field to me. I don't think we ever seen Tony and Carmela drinking outside of later down the road Soprano home movies. So it was just great to see this very early where it's like, okay, man, y'all get to it. And they having a little shot of vodka to celebrate her life and her being gone. So I really enjoyed that. So definitely the shot with Svetlana. That was my favorite thing. And that is our episode. We appreciate y'all listening, man. Y'all can go follow us now on Instagram, Good Earner Pod _ Sopranos. Y'all can DM us about the show. Y'all want to have questions. Y'all can talk about y'all love for the show, or y'all just talk about maybe y'all could possibly be on it. Depending on, I had to vet you and see what time it is. But nonetheless, y'all can enjoy the memes. Every day, every week, we come up with funny memes. So y'all go check out those videos, those images. Nonetheless, y'all can also check us out on YouTube, man. Good Earners reviewing The Sopranos. Y'all can leave comments there. We're everywhere. We're on Apple, Spotify, and many more. Before we get out of here, I like to make sure we cross promote. So before we get out of here, Rich, what are some other podcasts you're involved with, just in case the people want to support you elsewhere?
No doubt, man. We have the Culture Garden podcast. It's spelled exactly how it sounds. The Culture Garden. It's a film podcast focusing on films from the culture. Those release every single Thursday. We Got Y'all television podcast. Those are releasing on Tuesdays. We are covering Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty, which is streaming on Max. And also, if you hear from Mafia Mondays every single week, my Good Earner brothers, man, this pod of ours. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much it right now. There will be things in the future, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Spike.
Check out Dead End Sports on Tuesdays, live on YouTube. Check out the On Deck TV podcast on Wednesdays. Check out Good Earners, as you see on Mafia Mondays, and also check out Another Week in the Books on Fridays, man. Just some dope stuff that we involved in. Mo's on a couple of them. Check it out anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yes, sir. And lastly, y'all go check out Roll, the audio drama series. Season 4 is about to come out. So y'all should subscribe right now. But for those that are new listeners, catch up now. It's going to be behind the paywall, so get prepared for that. I'm definitely looking forward.
Can't wait for that joint.
Yeah, it's different this season. So
Can't wait for that joint, man.
So y'all get behind that joint because it's gonna be really good. This is the send off of that series. It's a fiction podcast that I wrote, produced, act, and all of those good things. So roll the audio drama series. But we appreciate y'all listening and tuning in. Until next time, remember, don't forget about it.